Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 839. Although elite disciples would enter the Sage Devil Gorge, their existence was to supervise the gorge. Usually they wouldn't act personally. In the Eastern Sage Immortals sect, the status of an elite disciple was extremely high. They were chosen from the core disciples, and each elite disciple would take on an expert from the Eastern Sage Immortals sect as their master. There would be experts who would guide them in their cultivation, and if they advanced a step further, they would already be Sage Child characters. The purpose of the Sage Devil Gorge was to select 160 core disciples. If elite disciples acted, most probably not many would be able to withstand it. Those truly powerful geniuses would also be eliminated. Xiaohou was the leader of the elite disciples in charge of supervising the Sage Devil Gorge this time around. His cultivation base was extremely high, and he had an esteemed status. When he heard Black Peak's words, he was somewhat bewildered as he replied, "Black Peak, you should know that the purpose of us elite disciples is to supervise and not to hunt. If I lead people to act against a participant, I might be reprimanded." "I understand. But as long as you don't act personally and only send 5th level ascendants to hunt him down, it wouldn't be considered breaking the rules of the sect. If you are reprimanded, you just need to find an excuse. You are the supervisor of the Sage Devil Gorge, and this young man killed and humiliated the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. His character isn't good. Isn't it your responsibility to kill him?" Black Peak spoke. After that, he transmitted his voice to Xiaohou, causing Xiaohou's expression to brighten as he stared at Black Peak. For the sake of killing that young man, this fellow was truly willing to pay a heavy price. Seems like the hatred between him and Qin Wentian wasn't small. Also, given his identity as a supervisor, killing someone wasn't a big deal as long as he didn't break the rules. Black Peak was the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King, and the Deep Flame Immortal King was also a war general highly regarded by His Majesty. Since he was willing to pay such a price, Xiaohou naturally had to give him some face. One could only say that this young man was truly unlucky. This man humiliated a disciple of our Dongshangshan Gate. His character truly isn't good. He should be killed. Since this is the case, I will gather more people." Xiaohou and Black Peak exchanged glances. There was no need to say anything further. Gather more geniuses. This young man's combat prowess is extremely strong. I fought against him before in the Eastern Sage Cliff. Black Peak reminded. Even for elite disciples, it would be tough for them to defeat Qin Wentian in a one-on-one battle unless a Sage Child character acted. "Alright." Xiaohou nodded and shot out a beam of light, issuing a command to gather everyone. As for the 5th level ascendant beside him, he had been monitoring Qin Wentian's movements. He discovered that Qin Wentian's light had actually stopped at a different location after traveling a great distance. Qin Wentian only wanted to find a quiet place to cultivate. At this moment, he arrived at the foot of an ancient mountain. From the top of the ancient mountain, a waterfall cascaded down, creating a deafening sound. The force of the waterfall was extremely strong. The water droplets converged to form a waterfall and flowed down with such power. Qin Wentian murmured. He gazed at the waterfall and cultivated. After a while, his body moved and he turned around to look at the newcomer. He smiled and said, "We have such a tacit understanding." Gu Lufeng shook his head and smiled. "There are too many experts in the Dongshangshan Gate of the Sage Devil Gorge. We might encounter ambushes everywhere. I just want to find a quiet place. I believe that given your strength, ordinary disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate wouldn't be able to do anything to you." Qin Wentian replied, "Outer disciples can be dealt with, but there are some core disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. Things might be a little troublesome." Gu Liufeng's handsome eyes stared at the waterfall ahead as he continued, "What about you? You should have encountered quite a number of people from the Dongshangshan Gate hunting you down, right?" There's no way for me to be at peace. They are here again." Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. He turned and stared at the horizons only to see a group of figures rushing over. There were actually a total of 9 silhouettes, and there were even a few with tyrannical auras among them. It was obvious that they weren't on the same level as him. How persistent. Qin Wentian stared at Black Peak. On the other side, there were also several silhouettes rushing over. They seemed to be targeting Gu Lufeng because their cultivation bases were the same as Gu Lufeng, at the 4th level of celestial phenomenon. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness. The people from both sides arrived at the same time, and they were so focused on each other. It was as though their movements could be directly locked onto by the other party. Interesting, I met 2 of them at the same time. Black Peak's countenance flickered with a cold light when he saw Gu Lufeng. Back then when he went to the inn, this person was already together with Qin Wentian. Since they met at the same time, he might as well finish them off together. Gu Lufeng also saw Black Peak, as well as the group of people beside him. His countenance instantly turned unsightly to behold. Not only were there core disciples in golden robes, there were also several other disciples in golden robes whom he had never seen before. Their auras were even stronger, and standing in the middle, it was evident that their statuses were higher than the core disciples. Before this, we met some outer and core disciples. What are your identities then? Qin Wentian stared at Xiahou, who was in the lead. Elite disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Before Xiahou could reply, Black Peak already replied, Qin Wentian, you have nothing in your eyes, slaughtering disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. I've already said it, you won't be able to escape death. Qin Wentian's countenance remained calm. He continued to stare at Xiahou as he spoke. In this tempering exercise, the 160 participants can become core disciples. As for you guys, you are all elite disciples. If you meet someone who has the talent to become a core disciple, wouldn't you all be easily eliminated? What's the meaning of this tempering exercise? If I'm not wrong, elite disciples shouldn't act so casually, right? Xiahou stared at Qin Wentian, his countenance indifferent as he said, you are very smart. However, as Black Peak said, even before entering my Dongshengshan Gate, you are already so arrogant and condescending, slaughtering and humiliating disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Such a person with a bad character isn't qualified to become a core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. I, Xiahou, am the supervisor of the Sage Devil Gorge, so I have the obligation to kill you. Xiahou's words, as the supervisor of the Sage Devil Gorge, he had the obligation to kill Qin Wentian. It was as if Qin Wentian deserved to die in the Sage Devil Gorge. Hearing this, Qin Wentian laughed arrogantly. Another bad character. Last time, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor used this reason to humiliate him. Now, the elite disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate wanted to use this reason to deal with him. His body floated up as he arrogantly spoke. Since you say that my character is bad, just treat it as my character is bad then. If you want to kill me, feel free to do so. I will deal with him. An elite disciple at the 5th level of celestial phenomenon spoke. No need, this brat's character is too low. You guys directly go up and kill him here, there's no need to show mercy. Xiahou's eyes were cold as he stared at the elite disciple, giving the order to kill. Right. The few of them nodded. A moment later, 6 experts stepped out. 4 of them were core disciples and 2 of them were elite disciples. Their lineup was truly terrifying. Boom! One of the elite disciples released his constellation, causing the starry sky to shine. His body seemed to be carrying a supremely terrifying Xuanwu on his back, exuding a towering might. His palms blasted out towards Qin Wentian as runic light illuminated the sky. A towering divine might bore down on him, wanting to shatter this entire space. Qin Wentian's battle art erupted forth. He lifted his palms and blasted them into the skies, causing the air to tremble violently. The blood in this elite disciple's body erupted forth as boundless runic light circulated around him, transforming into a Xuanwu armor that was covered in countless runic patterns. His defense was extremely shocking. He frenziedly attacked and in an instant, the 2 of them exchanged over 10 attacks, yet they had no way to shake each other. The elite disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate had gone through many rounds of selection, and were accepted as personal disciples by experts of the immortal sect. They cultivated many immortal arts and innate techniques, and were naturally extremely powerful. The other elite disciple also rushed over. His constellation was like a blazing sun sword diagram, incomparably dazzling. Countless sun swords descended from the sky, unceasingly slashing towards Qin Wentian. Each and every one of the sun swords contained a heaven-shaking might, capable of breaking apart everything. Qin Wentian's palms frenziedly blasted out, but against the ferocious attacks of the 2 elite disciples, his attack speed clearly wasn't fast enough. And in another direction, The 4 core disciples started their own attacks. If they fought against Qin Wentian alone, they might easily be defeated. But right now there were 2 elite disciples fighting against Qin Wentian while they supported him. If their attacks landed on Qin Wentian, it would similarly be fatal. Aren't the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate a little too shameless? We came here to undergo the tempering exercise, yet you guys actually made the elite disciples and core disciples gang up on a single person? Gu Liufeng's aura fluctuated as he coldly spoke. Insulting my Dongshengshan Gate. Kill them all. Xiahou faintly spoke, his countenance cold. He wouldn't go against the rules. Killing one was killing 2 was also killing. He was the supervisor of the Sage Devil Gorge. He still had this bit of authority. Those 4th-level ascendants rushed towards Gu Lufeng, only to see Gu Lufeng carrying numerous dazzling arrows on his back. Each and every arrow was akin to a rainbow, corroding the void and containing a terrifying penetrative force. At the same time he retreated, increasing the distance between him and his pursuers. A cold smile flickered in Blackpeak's eyes. Watching these 2 battles, Qin Wentian wanted to humiliate him. Naturally, he would make him pay the price. At this moment, Qin Wentian was surrounded by 6 experts and was in imminent danger. The elite disciple with the Xuanwu saber on his back was like an impenetrable shield, blocking all of Qin Wentian's attacks. Qin Wentian's attacks were also extremely powerful, capable of shaking the heavens and earth. Rumble, a terrifying rumbling sound rang out. Qin Wentian's body grew taller, instantly expanding to a size of 100 meters, resembling a gigantic mountain. The 6 experts all retreated, staring at Qin Wentian. Boom! Qin Wentian's gigantic body stretched out his palms, blotting out the skies as he grabbed towards the 2 core disciples. The 2 of them frenziedly attacked, yet they had no way to break through the blood-colored battle palm imprints, and were directly crushed into pieces. 2 terrifying palm imprints directly grabbed out, crushing the 2 core disciples into smithereens with a single clench. Qin Wentian's huge eyes stared at Xiahou and Blackpeak. His countenance was cold to the extreme as an intense killing intent surged within him. You will pay a painful price for your actions. Qin Wentian swept his gaze over to the 2 of them as his voice turned cold. He roared in rage, his might shaking the heavens as his anger seethed, causing Xiahou's heart to tremble. However, he only saw Xiahou shooting out a beam of light that was even more resplendent than before. This summoning summon was instantly seen by countless experts. Chapter 840. Qin Wentian's 100 tall body was truly terrifying. When Xiahou saw him killing 2 core disciples with a wave of his hand, he instantly understood that this person's strength was above that of an elite disciple. He was someone who could become an elite disciple the moment he entered the Dongshengshan Gate, and might even have the chance to become a saint child in the future. But now that things have come to this, no matter what, he had to kill this person. At this moment, Qin Wentian was like a wild horse that had escaped its reins. He was extremely dangerous and had to be killed on the spot. Rumble! An incomparably powerful Xuanwu blasted towards Qin Wentian like an ancient god. Qin Wentian's 100 tall body blasted out a punch, causing astral light to illuminate the skies, penetrating through the heavens and earth. Blazing runic light and towering energy directly shattered his opponent's attack. Both his palms blasted out explosively once more, causing a gigantic palm imprint to appear, engulfing the heavens and earth as it blasted towards the remaining 2 core disciples. The 2 of them had looks of terror on their faces as they used all of their strength to defend. However, when the strength of the attack reached a certain degree, it was akin to crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. The bodies of the 2 core disciples exploded as they were killed on the spot. Qin Wentian was like an enraged god of war, slaughtering all living things. Fizi, a blazing sun sword that could incinerate everything slashed over, radiating sunlight as it pierced through Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian's gigantic body opened his mouth as numerous ancient bells appeared, transforming into an incomparably terrifying gigantic battle bell. With a wave of his hand, the bell chime shook the heavens, containing a towering suppressive might within, clashing against the blazing sun sword, shattering it apart. The 2 elite disciples retreated, increasing the distance between them and Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, who had transformed into a 100-meter tall giant, was simply too much of a threat. Once they were struck by him, The consequences would be devastating. They had to be careful. From afar, more and more figures could be seen flying over. Qin Wentian stared at them. Elite disciples, core disciples, and outer sect disciples were all rushing over here. Earlier, the summoning signal the Eastern Sage Immortal sect released earlier was definitely an extremely important one, causing the disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect who came to hunt in the Sage Devil Gorge to gather here. Gu Lufeng, let's go. Qin Wentian spoke loudly. He then turned and walked away, his steps extremely large. Buzz. A strong wind blew past. Xiaoho's body instantly blocked Qin Wentian's path of retreat. He put his hands behind his back and stared at Qin Wentian's figure. You are so arrogant. You trampled on and killed the Celestial Sect's disciples. How can you leave alive? Are you going to violate the rules set by the Dongshengshan Gate? Qin Wentian said coldly. I'm the supervisor of the Sage Devil Gorge. Also, I won't act against you, so it naturally wouldn't be considered breaking the rules. Xiaoho spoke coldly and arrogantly. The experts who had just arrived all surrounded Qin Wentian. Buzz. A dazzling light flashed. This was none other than the long spear he forged in Drift's now ancient city. The long spear gleamed with immortal light. Qin Wentian directly pointed it at Xiaoho as he arrogantly spoke. If you dare to block my path, I will use my immortal weapon to kill you. If there are experts from the Dongshengshan Gate who blame me, I will ask them for the reason and see if you have violated the rules or not. As Qin Wentian spoke, he walked towards Xiaoho. The long spear in his hand expanded unceasingly, growing to several tens of meters long. It gleamed with a terrifying immortal light, as though wanting to destroy everything before it. Xiaoho only felt a dangerous aura enveloping him. His countenance turned ashen. He didn't expect that the participants here would actually dare to use an immortal weapon to threaten him. This was simply too audacious. Scram! Qin Wentian roared. Xiaoho stared fixedly at Qin Wentian, but eventually, he still chose to step aside. He wasn't afraid of Qin Wentian, but if Qin Wentian really used an immortal weapon to kill him and cause the matter to blow up as the supervisor, he wouldn't be able to absolve himself from the blame. Although he was an elite disciple, he was only here under orders. Qin Wentian kept his immortal weapon and continued forward. However, more and more experts rushed over, surrounding him. All of them were disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Rumble! Boundless battle light flashed as Qin Wentian's 100-meter-tall body radiated a terrifying battle intent. His battle chi grew even more fearsome, towering up into the sky. This was the activation of the second level of the battle art. His strength rose explosively once again. Who dares to obstruct me? Qin Wentian lifted his palms and attacked. A thunderous boom rang out as the gigantic Calamity Annihilation, ancient bell radiated boundless calamity light. Qin Wentian used the Fiend God Heavenly Suppression Art to augment it, causing the gigantic bell to contain a towering suppressive might. The constellations in the air shone resplendently as they blasted into the ancient bell. Golden divine light erupted forth, instantly killing those who were struck by the bell. Even the outer sect disciples nearby were annihilated by the light. The more he fought, the stronger he got. Qin Wentian gave off a feeling that he was filled with boundless possibilities. The more powerful his opponents were, the more powerful he would be, allowing him to transform into an even more powerful existence. Xiaoho felt a sense of unease in his heart when he saw how powerful Qin Wentian was. If so many fifth-level ascendants still failed to kill Qin Wentian and allowed him to leave safely, Qin Wentian would definitely be enraged and take revenge. If that were to happen, it would definitely attract the attention of the upper echelons, and he, Xiaoho, would definitely have to bear the blame. His gaze turned to Black Peak as his countenance grew unsightly. However, Black Peak's countenance was even uglier than his. Even with so many fifth-level ascendants, they still couldn't kill Qin Wentian? There were so many experts here, and the geniuses of the Dongshengshan Gate were all supreme geniuses. Yet they still couldn't kill Qin Wentian? Number 27 of the Cloud Prefecture. Was this really only the combat talent of the number 27 of the Cloud Prefecture? The people before him were also powerful. In that case, the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate would be nothing more than a joke. Regardless of Xiaoho or Black Peak, it was already hard for them to dismount. This man killed so many disciples of our Dongshengshan Gate. trampling on the pride and dignity of our Dongshangshan Gate. How can we allow such a despicable character to pass the test and become an inner sect disciple? Everyone, let's act together and kill him here. Xiaoho's voice was filled with killing intent. Qin Wentian took a single step and traversed an extremely far distance. An elite disciple chased after him. Qin Wentian abruptly released his other two constellations, the Dream Constellation and the Sword Slaughter Constellation. In just an instant, that elite disciple who was chasing after Qin Wentian was already within the range of his constellation. Boundless killing intent blasted out, locking down the surroundings of that elite disciple. Qin Wentian merely took a single step and appeared in front of that elite disciple as a fearsome runic light circulated around his palms. Die! With a thunderous roar, he executed two battle arts. Blood-colored runic light, terrifying divine inscriptions, the fiend god heavenly suppression art, as well as the tyrannical strength of his fleshly body, slaying immortals and vanquishing gods, destroying everything before him. That elite disciple had a look of terror on his face. This entire space seemed to be filled with a supreme suppressive force. His body was under the pressure and he couldn't help but have a look of terror on his face, as well as despair. He had no way to defend against such an attack. The gigantic fiend god heavenly suppression palm imprint blasted downwards, directly annihilating that elite disciple. Tyrannical killing intent, unexcelled in the world. At the instant he killed that elite disciple, the other experts behind him also arrived, frenziedly launching attacks towards Qin Wentian. Xiaoho, who was standing in the air, had an ashen expression. The thing he didn't want to see the most still happened. An elite disciple had died. Although there were countless disciples in the Eastern Sage Immortal sect, the elite disciples were the highest-ranked characters other than the Sage Child. Every one of them was heavily nurtured by the Eastern Sage Immortal sect, and the death of any one of them had to be recorded clearly. Also, these elite disciples entered the Sage Devil Gorge with the identity of an inspector. They basically shouldn't die in there. Once an elite disciple died, they would definitely be investigated. Even if they killed Qin Wentian, they would still be punished. What's even more damnable was that Qin Wentian hasn't died yet. There seemed to be an inexhaustible supply of astral energy in his body. To stellar martial cultivators, the more powerful the innate techniques they used, the greater the amount of astral energy they would expend. Qin Wentian battled in all directions. Every strike of his contained a towering might, unleashing terrifying innate techniques. Such tyrannical attacks were extremely taxing on the astral energy in his body. A fifth-level ascendant fighting in such a frenzied manner, there was no way he would be able to sustain it for long. It should be soon. He definitely wouldn't be able to continue fighting like this. Xiaoho's countenance was as sharp as a blade. When he saw the attacks of so many experts rushing towards Qin Wentian, his eyes gleamed with sharpness. If the combined attacks of so many experts still couldn't kill Qin Wentian, the consequences would be extremely dire. Once Qin Wentian escaped, it was unknown how great the waves of anger would be. If they didn't surround Qin Wentian, no fifth-level ascendant would be able to withstand Qin Wentian's attacks. Even elite disciples wouldn't be able to do so. This point had already been tested earlier. Qin Wentian directly killed an elite disciple at the same level as him with a single strike. Countless attacks blasted towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's feet trembled as a towering screen of swords appeared around him. Countless sharp swords, as well as the suppressive shadow, blasted outwards, causing the space around him to explode unceasingly. However, the attacks of these experts were simply too terrifying. They managed to shatter the screen of swords and continued on their way towards Qin Wentian's 100-meter-tall body. Qin Wentian pointed out with a finger that shook the heavens. A boundless sword might gushed forth, engulfing everything. At the same time, the ancient bell revolved around him, vibrating madly. Rumble. The rumbling sounds continued unceasingly. All the attacks around Qin Wentian were shattered apart. His 100-meter-tall body was forced backwards as wounds appeared on his armor. In fact, there was even demonic blood flowing out, as though every single drop of blood contained an extremely powerful aura. Boom! Qin Wentian turned and continued on his way, traversing through the air with every step he took. The experts of the Dongshangshan Gate chased after Qin Wentian. Initially, this was supposed to be a training ground for the experts of the Dongshangshan Gate. Yet now this place had turned into an encirclement. Tens of powerful disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate were chasing after Qin Wentian. Gu Lufeng was also trapped in combat. Occasionally, he would glance at Qin Wentian's battle as his heart trembled. Qin Wentian was simply too powerful. During these few years, Qin Wentian had already left him in the dust. Upon thinking of this, Gu Lufeng unleashed his aura to the extreme, as though the magnificence he exuded in the past could be seen once again. As for Qin Wentian, would he be able to escape this calamity? Qin Wentian unceasingly advanced through the Sage Devil Gorge. Every step he took caused the heavens and earth to tremble, exuding a terrifying might. A pair of golden wings appeared behind his back, resembling a winged rock. Although his body was only 100 meters tall, his speed was extremely fast. Those experts who were chasing after him were actually slowly falling behind. This caused the countenances of many to turn extremely unsightly. If this continued on, the people who were chasing after Qin Wentian would continue to split up. At that time, once Qin Wentian erupted forth, it would be extremely dangerous for those who were chasing after him. Chapter 841. In the Sage Devil Gorge, everywhere Qin Wentian passed by, his aura would surge forth, akin to the rumbling of thunder. There were experts who inclined their heads and stared at Qin Wentian, only to see that there were actually so many experts chasing after him. Their hearts couldn't help but to tremble. Right now, they could naturally discern the identities of these disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate from their robes. Among the experts chasing after Qin Wentian, the ones closest to them were all clad in golden robes that were even more eye-catching compared to the robes of the core disciples. These were the elite disciples who rarely acted. By right, these people shouldn't be participating in the hunt, but right now, they were actually trying to kill one person at the same time. At this moment, the 100-meter-tall giant in front of the crowd suddenly stopped. At the instant he stopped, a terrifying gust of wind and clouds churned in the air, causing the elite disciples who were chasing after him to involuntarily halt their steps. That 100-meter-tall giant abruptly turned and took a step forward. His aura was like thunder, causing rumbling sounds to echo in the air. The countenances of the elite disciples changed. They actually didn't advance but retreated instead, as though they were extremely fearful of that 100-meter-tall giant. This caused a strange expression to appear on the faces of the crowd. Who was the one chasing who exactly? A bunch of trash. You actually have the face to ask me to respect you? A thunderous voice shook the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian's voice and countenance were all filled with ridicule. This wasn't merely a mockery towards the elite disciples in front of him. It was also a mockery towards all the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. The disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate were all chasing after one person. When he stopped, no one else dared to move forward. He then took a step forward, causing all the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate to retreat. How could there be such a ridiculous pursuit in the world? How arrogant! The spectators below all felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. Who exactly was this person? He actually dared to treat the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate as trash and humiliated them in public. And as expected, the expressions of the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate turned ashen. In the Sage Devil Gorge, they were supposed to be the hunters, but the current situation was truly somewhat awkward. From afar, more and more disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate rushed over. Qin Wentian's lips curled up in disdain as he stared at Xiaohou and Heifeng. I advise you guys to stop wasting your efforts trying to kill me. Just based on your arrogance, but in reality, you are all weaklings. If you continue to try to kill me, I'm afraid your lives would be in danger. After speaking, Qin Wentian directly turned and stepped out once more, causing the experts behind him to exchange glances, speechless. Qin Wentian's speed was extremely fast. Ordinary disciples wouldn't be able to catch up to him at all. Even if there were only a few elite disciples who could catch up to Qin Wentian, so what? Once they started fighting, they wouldn't be able to stop him at all. In fact, they might even lose their lives and suffer counterattacks. This was truly an extremely ironic thing. How dare he humiliate all of you? Continue to pursue him, spare no expense to kill him. Xiaohou coldly spoke. The other experts continued their pursuit, and at the same time, Xiaohou once again issued a summon. The other experts could see the light dot representing Qin Wentian rapidly moving about. There were many experts who tried to intercept him, but when they appeared, they were all killed by a single slap from Qin Wentian. They weren't on the same level at all. The pursuit continued, and after a long time, Zi Qingxian, who was currently moving in a certain direction, suddenly saw Qin Wentian's silhouette in the air. Her gaze abruptly turned sharp as she stared in the direction behind Qin Wentian. Instantly understanding what had happened, her silhouette flickered. There seemed to be a pair of divine eagle wings behind her. She sped through the air with great speed and was actually parallel to Qin Wentian, moving in the same direction. Qin Wentian naturally also saw Zi Qingxian below him. He only saw Zi Qingxian following his footsteps, her silhouette flickering unceasingly. "How can I help you?" Zi Qingxian spoke. She didn't ask for the reason. There was no need to ask. Since she has already acknowledged Qin Wentian, her position would naturally be the same as Qin Wentian's. Right now, there were people chasing after Qin Wentian. In that case, she would naturally stand on Qin Wentian's side. "I will accompany them to play a hunting game." Qin Wentian laughed as he stared at Zi Qingxian below. His huge eyes flickered with a dazzling light. "If you don't want to die, don't participate. If not, the Dongshangshan Gate will definitely kill you." Someone behind threatened Zi Qingxian. However, Zi Qingxian continued moving together with Qin Wentian, not saying a word. "Qingxian, kill the person who spoke." Qin Wentian spoke. His gigantic body halted. Zi Qingxuan's wings flickered as she turned and spun around, moving like a bolt of lightning. Qin Wentian soared through the air and sped towards the expert who spoke. Although there was still some distance between them, he didn't hesitate and blasted out a palm strike. This palm imprint appeared from the void and directly smashed down. That expert blasted out with both his palms, destroying Qin Wentian's attack. At the same time, Zi Qingxuan's silhouette arrived. The light of a divine falcon shone resplendently as her eyes gleamed with sharpness. Her body shuddered as countless divine falcons swooped down, tearing apart the space. That expert retreated, wanting to delay Zi Qingxuan's attack. Behind him, there was already an elite disciple rushing over. However, a thunderous boom rang out as Qin Wentian blasted out numerous palm imprints, directly blocking them. Qin Wentian himself also moved towards the elite disciple who threatened Zi Qingxian. Everything happened in the time it takes for a spark to fly off a flint, so fast that it was inconceivable. That elite disciple was trapped by Zi Qingxuan's divine falcon light, and was in a defensive stance. At this moment, Qin Wentian rushed out as a blood-colored long spear condensed from astral energy appeared in his hands. This long spear shone with an incomparably dazzling battle light, as though his battle incantation was imprinted onto it. The long spear expanded by over 10 meters, causing the space around it to tremble as a towering might gushed out. That elite disciple had a look of terror on his face. Yet Zi Qingxian didn't relent. Finally, the long spear arrived, transforming into a beam of blood-colored light that directly pierced through the body of that elite disciple. There was no way for him to block it. That elite disciple howled in rage as he stabbed out with his spear. With a thunderous boom, that elite disciple's body was shattered into pieces. In the short span of a few breaths of time, an elite disciple was killed. Xiaohou, Black Peak and the rest could only watch with their own eyes, yet they couldn't interfere. Qin Wentian and Zi Qingxian seemed to have a tacit understanding. Both of them turned their gazes onto that elite disciple behind them. The others still haven't caught up yet. Qin Wentian waited for so long before attacking because he wanted to widen the distance between them. Only then would he be able to act, making them feel despair. The disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate ganged up to kill him? Let them pay the price then. Busy. The dream constellation directly transformed into a domain-type constellation, enveloping his opponent within. After which, another heaven-shaking spear pierced out. This spear strike seemed to contain a law of energy within, causing the entire space to be filled with a stifling pressure. How powerful was Qin Wentian after he unleashed the second level of the battle art? This spear strike of his was akin to the spear of a war god. Zi Qingxian very tacitly blocked the path of retreat of her opponent as she attacked from behind. Before this, when the other experts joined forces to attack Qin Wentian, they couldn't do anything to him. But now, Qin Wentian and Zi Qingxian joined forces to attack an elite disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate. In just an instant, the long spear of the elite disciple was slain. In less than 10 breaths of time, 2 elite disciples were killed consecutively. Qin Wentian and Zi Qingxian directly sped away. When the other experts behind them wanted to continue their pursuit, Xiahou finally stretched out his hands to block them. At this moment, Xiahou had a gloomy expression on his face as he stared at the departing Qin Wentian. He knew that if this continued, the losses would be even greater. Whoever chased the fastest would die. And if everyone slowed down, this pursuit would be meaningless. Hence, Qin Wentian's so-called fleeing was merely leading them away. Are we going to let things end like this? Black Peak's expression turned black. Xiahou was about to give up, sparing Qin Wentian just like that. After spending so much effort, he still failed to claim Qin Wentian's life. This was a great humiliation. What else can I do? Xiahou stared at Black Peak, his eyes gleaming with sharpness. It was as though he had forgotten Black Peak's identity. The deaths of elite disciples were all incited by Black Peak. As the supervisor of the Sage Devil Gorge, the consequences would be shouldered by him. If this continued, he didn't dare to imagine what would happen. Although the cultivation bases of those elite disciples couldn't be compared to him, it was only because of the time they took to cultivate. His status was the same as them, an elite disciple, and he wasn't any nobler compared to them. For their deaths, the masters of those elite disciples would surely come and question them. The Dongshengshan Gate would also pursue the matter. Because of his decision, Xiahou had caused the deaths of quite a few elite disciples. This crime wasn't light at all. The Dongshengshan Gate wouldn't punish Qin Wentian. Even if they wanted to protect him, there was no reason for them to do so. What qualifications did they have to blame a genius who resisted because he was being hunted? Also, given how dazzling Qin Wentian was, why didn't the Dongshengshan Gate recruit him? He could directly become an elite disciple, one that was even more outstanding compared to them. This person wouldn't do anything, would he? Xiahou stared at the disappearing silhouette of Qin Wentian and muttered. Previously, they had angered Qin Wentian. If Qin Wentian were to be exposed, they would definitely regret it. Those blood-red eyes of his were truly terrifying. Naturally, this matter wouldn't end so quickly. Qin Wentian had always wanted to avoid this expedition. If the people of the Dongshengshan Gate wanted to be hunters, they could be hunters. Since it was a trial under someone else's roof, he would deal with whatever came his way. However, what happened later completely enraged him. As the supervisor, Xiahou used the ridiculous reason of his character to lead the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate to surround and kill him. Since this was the case, from now on Qin Wentian was no longer the prey, but the hunter. Since the Dongshengshan Gate viewed them as prey, they could only passively wait to be hunted down. In that case, under this cruel rule, he would launch a counterattack that belonged to him. Qin Wentian soared in the air, his gaze sweeping out in all directions. He only saw 2 fifth-level ascendants currently fighting in a certain direction. One of them was a core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate and wanted to hunt down a participant. Not only that, he already had the advantage and was closing in. At this moment, Qin Wentian stepped out, moving in that direction. The 2 combatants felt a towering might closing in on them. They separated and stared in the air. After which, a gigantic palm imprint slammed down, directly killing the core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate. The countenance of the core disciple beside him changed drastically. He stared at Qin Wentian as his heart trembled. Since the people of the Dongshengshan Gate want to hunt us, why don't we retaliate? Follow me and kill the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate we meet. Qin Wentian spoke. The body of that core disciple trembled violently as a dazzling light shone in his eyes. That's right, they could only be hunted down? Right, I will follow you. That core disciple stepped out, following behind Qin Wentian. Chapter 842. In the Sage Devil Canyon, a storm was brewing. Before the lake, there was a 5th-level ascendant of the Dongshengshan Gate. His eyes gleamed with coldness as he stared at the specks of light moving closer to him, preparing to hunt them down. But at this moment he suddenly frowned. From afar, there were 3 specks of light moving closer to him. Not long after, the 3 of them discovered him and directly sped over. Someone joined forces? The countenance of that core disciple stiffened, feeling somewhat bewildered. A raging wind gusted by as the silhouettes of the 3 experts appeared not far away. The blood-colored demonic eyes of the young man in the lead stared at him. This man was over 100 meters tall and exuded a towering battle might. He was clad in an unparalleled sacred armor, as though he wanted to conquer this world. Not good. The countenance of that core disciple was filled with terror. He discovered that the three of them were heading straight for him. Turning, he abruptly turned and fled, only to discover to his horror that the speed of the pursuers was exceedingly fast. A terrifying gigantic palm imprint grabbed over, and there was also a divine falcon whistling through the air, swooping down from the sky. Upon feeling the might of that attack, his countenance turned pale. He turned back only to see two streams of destructive energy blasting towards him. With a rumbling sound, his body was directly enveloped by the destructive energy, dying on the spot. Behind him, a fifth-level ascendant flew over just in time to witness this shocking scene. His heart pounded rapidly, and after which he saw Qin Wentian staring at him as he spoke. In this Sage Devil Canyon, they can monitor our movements and hunt us down. Since you didn't die, it means that your strength isn't bad. This person is a core disciple and is preparing to hunt you down. Right now, I don't wish to wait for them to hunt me down, but I want to take the initiative to attack you instead. Are you willing to join me? The countenance of that core disciple flickered. During these few days, he had indeed encountered many hunters. If it wasn't for his strength being above average, he would have already died. But this person before him had tyrannical strength and even dared to take the initiative to hunt down the experts of the Dongshangshan Gate. If he could join him, he would have a higher chance of passing this round. Right? That core disciple nodded. Qin Wentian waved his hands, move out. The four of them walked in the void at the same time, and not long after, they encountered an outer sect disciple of Dongshangshan Gate. When he saw the four of them, he wanted to turn around and leave, but Qin Wentian killed him with a slap. A majestic storm of conquest had begun. They were going to cause a raging storm in the Sage Devil Gorge. They weren't going to exist as prey, but as hunters to face this cruel test. The weak were prey to the strong, so they would rather take the initiative to be a hunter than wait for others to hunt them down. Several days later, the hunting operation in the Sage Devil Canyon continued, and the number of challengers continued to decrease. However, the gathering storm had already taken shape. At this moment, an elite disciple at the fifth level of celestial phenomenon stared at a location not too far away from him. Over there, he saw 20 specks of light congregating together. This indicated that there were 25th level ascendants gathered there. These challengers were actually able to band together? If this was the case, things would definitely be troublesome. He had to gather the elite disciples to disrupt these people. If not, there was a high possibility that all 20 of them would pass this round, disrupting the original purpose of the Dongshangshan Gates test. As the supervisors, the elite disciples had to reorganize themselves. He took out his summoning token and shot out a beam of light that towered up into the skies. But at the instant the summoning token was sent out, he saw the 20 experts rushing over in his direction. Humph, that elite disciple snorted coldly. He wanted to see what these people wanted to do exactly. Given his strength, even if the other party outnumbered him, he believed that no one would be able to stop him if he wanted to leave. An instant later, the 20 experts appeared, exuding a fearsome aura as they swept over like a raging storm. Halt! That elite disciple roared, his voice akin to a tsunami, causing the entire space to tremble. However, the other party didn't slow down at all. Under the lead of the 100-meter giant in the lead, they directly soared through the air, rushing over. Busy. A third eye appeared in the center of the 100-meter tall figure's brows. In just an instant he was in a daze, after which a thunderous rumbling sound rang out as a gigantic palm imprint slammed towards him. He howled in rage as a violent aura gushed forth, shattering the gigantic palm imprint. However, he only saw numerous silhouettes rushing towards him. His countenance stiffened and he wanted to turn around, yet the gigantic palm imprint slammed towards him once again, sealing the entire space around him. Shit! That elite disciple's countenance drastically changed. He didn't expect the group of experts to be so tyrannical. At this moment, his body felt as though it had sunk into a swamp. His footsteps were hindered and he had no way to retreat. The experts in front of him were already rushing over in a grandiose manner. Chaotic currents churned, shaking the heavens and earth as they frenziedly blasted towards him. A thunderous boom shook the heavens. In just an instant, that elite disciple was killed, falling from the air. That group of experts didn't stop, they continued their hunt. After they left, more and more experts arrived. When they saw the corpse of that elite disciple, their countenances were all extremely unsightly to behold. Xiaohou and Black Peak also arrived. At this moment, Xiaohou's body was trembling. He turned to a fifth-level ascendant beside him and asked, "How many people did they gather?" 20. That person stared at the direction where Qin Wentian and the others left. Xiaohou's countenance turned ashen. He didn't know how many disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate had fallen already, and it was also an elite disciple. Was this the anger of that person? Before this, he, Xiaohou, led the experts of the Dongshengshan Gate to surround and kill that person. But now, that person was using the same method to give them a taste of their own medicine. He started to lead the participants and madly hunted down the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Nobody could stop him. He alone could fight against so many experts. Now that he was the one leading the attack, there was basically no one at the same level as him who could stop him unless there was a fifth-level ascendant sage child character who appeared here to counterattack. What should we do? The people of the Dongshengshan Gate were all panicking. If this continued, there would only be more and more disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate dying. In that case, they, as the elite disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate, would forever become the joke of the Dongshengshan Gate. This was also a humiliation. As the examinees for this round of tempering, their purpose was to hunt and kill. But now, they were being killed one after another by the other participants. Xiaohou's countenance turned heavy. What should he do? He didn't know what to do either. Qin Wentian gathered fifth-level ascendants to hunt the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Within the rules, this was permitted. But if the higher-level ascendants of the Dongshengshan Gate acted, it would be considered a violation of the rules. Even he, Xiaohou, wouldn't dare to be so brazen and openly challenge the rules set by the Dongshengshan Gate. And in truth, it was him, Xiaohou, who forced Qin Wentian to step on this path of conquest. It was him who led his men to kill Qin Wentian, but sadly, they didn't succeed. Hence, Qin Wentian wanted to use the same method to deal with the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Right now, the only thing that could stop Qin Wentian was to get the fifth-level ascendants of the Dongshengshan Gate to stop their hunt and gather together to surround Qin Wentian and his men. Summon all the elite disciples. Send out the summons for all fifth-level ascendants. Xiaohou's eyes were ice-cold. The people in the surroundings nodded as they stared at the flashing lights. It seemed like this was the only way to stop Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian and his men continued their expedition. During this process, the number of experts they gathered grew increasingly terrifying. Qin Wentian's body returned to its normal size, and as the number of experts grew stronger, there was no need for him to be as violent as before. Among these experts, there were many powerful geniuses from the 13 prefectures that were ranked at the top. They were all lofty characters and weren't willing to be led by others. The moment they encountered disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate, they would just kill them directly. As time flowed by, not only them, Qin Wentian and the others discovered that the other participants were influenced by them. Their cultivation bases all started to gather and joined forces to slaughter the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. The battles in the Sage Devil Gorge grew more and more brutal. It was no longer a one-sided situation. The disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate all discovered this change. They no longer hunted alone but formed groups of 3 to 5. Gradually, they started to join forces, and in addition to the elite disciples taking the initiative to gather, experts from both sides gathered unceasingly. This storm unceasingly swept across the entire Sage Devil Gorge. Qin Wentian and his group already had over 40 experts. Everywhere they passed by, the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate who were at the same level as them would die without a doubt. However, they also discovered that the number of participants was decreasing, and it was getting harder and harder to encounter disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Not only fifth-level ascendants, it was even harder to encounter people of the other cultivation levels as well. At this moment, a terrifying aura gushed over from afar. An instant later, Qin Wentian saw another group of experts gathered here. There were over 30 of them, and all of them were at the 7th level of celestial phenomenon. The top ranker of the Cloud Prefecture, Gu Zhantian, was among them as well. He stood in the center, exuding an aura of a leader. His gaze instantly landed on Qin Wentian as a cold light flashed in his eyes. He had yet to settle the grudge between him and Qin Wentian. He hoped that Qin Wentian wouldn't be eliminated. The two groups of people brushed past each other. Each of them had their own opponents. Not only for these two cultivation levels at this moment, the experts of all 9 levels of the Sage Devil Gorge were all gathered here as well. However, they discovered that it was getting harder and harder to encounter people from the Dongshangshan Gate. In the end, they couldn't even see a single opportunity to do so. At this moment, in a certain direction of the Sage Devil Gorge, numerous figures clad in golden robes were gathered here. These figures were all clad in the same robes and were divided into 9 groups. All of them were disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. The elite disciples stood at the very front leading the group. Xiaohe was among them. His eyes flickered with an extremely cold light as he stared at the horizons. This time around in the Sage Devil Gorge, their Dongshangshan Gate's losses were extremely heavy. Since this was the case, he wanted to make those people pay the most painful price. Right now, all the hunting disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate were gathered here for the final battle. Chapter 843. Although their losses were extremely heavy, the number of people from the Dongshangshan Gate was much higher compared to the number of geniuses who came to the Sage Devil Gorge. In addition to the fact that the people from the Dongshangshan Gate had the advantage at the start, they either hunted or chased the geniuses out of the Sage Devil Gorge. Only after that did the geniuses from the Dongshangshan Gate started to gather together and reverse the situation. But on the whole, the number of people from the Dongshangshan Gate in the Sage Devil Gorge was much higher compared to the number of geniuses who came here. This majestic tempest swept up almost everyone in the Sage Devil Gorge. There was no need to say anything more about the experts of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect. They gathered together, fighting for the sake of revenge, fighting for the honor of their sect. Those geniuses who came here to the Sage Devil Gorge naturally wouldn't take the initiative to teleport away. Before this, they were hunted down and now the situation was reversed. They slaughtered until the heavens and earth turned dark, enjoying themselves to their heart's content until there were no more experts from the Dongshangshan Gate left to kill. At this moment, Qin Wentian's group of 5th level ascendants already numbered over 50. There were also many extremely tyrannical geniuses among them. They were all ranked at the top of the 13 prefectures. Their auras towered up the heavens and were incomparably lofty, exuding a powerful aura. Among them, there was one person who stood out the most. This person had an ancient medallion on him, and on top of the medallion, there was a patch of thunderclouds. This was none other than a heaven chosen from the Thunder Prefecture. His name was Su Feng and the number 1 behind it was 1. This meant that this person was the number 1 heaven's favorite of the Thunder Continent. Although this person was handsome and had a pale complexion, the qi that was faintly emitting from his body was extremely powerful. His slightly skinny body seemed to contain a terrifying amount of energy. He had a powerful aura that made people around him not dare to get too close to him. Other than Su Feng, there were 3 other top rankers of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. All of them were extremely outstanding, and although there was a distance between them and the top rankers, they could faintly feel that they were the center of attention. It was as though the top 3 rankers were existences that revolved around them. They were formless leaders. However, if one were to observe carefully, they would discover that at the back of the crowd, there were about 10 to 20 people surrounding a single figure. This figure seemed to be in the middle of the crowd, soaring through the air. His countenance was calm, and he was young and handsome. His eyes were deep and unfathomable, making him seem inconspicuous. However, those surrounding him were all people who had personally witnessed Qin Wentian's violence. They knew that the reason why the Sage Devil Gorge was in such a state now, the reason why the geniuses gathered here, was all because of this person. He was the initial leader of this group and his strength was so strong that it was shocking. It was just that as the group grew stronger, he gradually retreated behind the scenes and retracted his aura, as though this group wasn't formed by him. In fact, some of the experts who came later didn't even know that this hunting group was formed by the 27th ranker of the Cloud Prefecture, Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, it's so rare to see a disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate. How strange. Zi Qingxian and Qin Wentian flew side by side, soaring in the air. Her eyes were fixed ahead as a heavy expression could be seen on her face. It was as though she had sensed an unusual aura. Qin Wentian nodded his head in agreement. It wasn't just strange, it was extremely strange. During these days he already understood that if a disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate was at the same level as him, they would be able to sense his movements. Hence, it was still possible for those at the same level as him to avoid him. But for those at the same level as him, it was impossible for them to not encounter him at all. Before this, they had already encountered many disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, and there were people of all cultivation bases. Such an abnormal situation, in addition to the signals sent out by the Dongshangshan Gate a few days ago, should be the summons of the Dongshangshan Gate. Maybe now the Dongshangshan Gate no longer wanted to be the prey. They realized that if they fought alone they would die without a doubt. Hence, there was a high possibility that they were the same as them, and had already started to gather people at the same level as them, preparing for a decisive battle. Although their lineup now was powerful, Qin Wentian wasn't too optimistic. He definitely wouldn't underestimate the strength of the Dongshangshan Gate. Firstly, they were in the open while the Dongshangshan Gate was in the shadows. From this point they no longer had the initiative. Whether they wanted to start a battle or not, it was up to others to decide. I think it's time for us to stop. At that moment Qin Wentian spoke. Suddenly, many people behind him stopped in their tracks. Those who had been moving forward for a while also stopped, turning around to look at Qin Wentian. The eyes of the geniuses all fell on Qin Wentian. He continued, "Something is wrong. I'm afraid that the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate are already waiting for us. If we continue to move forward blindly, we may fall into a passive situation. We have more than 50 cultivators. Why should we be afraid of the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate? Even if we have to fight them, it's fine." Some geniuses had a sharp look, their fighting spirit strong. "We've hunted down many of the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. Now it's hard to meet another one on the road. It's true that the Dongshangshan Gate is gathering their strength. It's just that we don't know how strong the remaining strength of the Dongshangshan Gate is." Another cultivator analyzed calmly, knowing that the situation was somewhat abnormal. In fact, most of the cultivators had already realized it. It was impossible for the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate to not take action and let them hunt them down. "What do you think?" An expert stared at Qin Wentian and asked. This person was a genius from the Jing prefecture of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. In fact, he was one of the top 3 rankers of the Jing prefecture. His name was Lulong Cloud. "It's time to disperse. We've killed so many disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, they would definitely want to take revenge on us. They wouldn't even give us a chance to escape. We can only split up and move in different directions. That would be the best solution. For those who are weaker, you can hide within a small-scale spatial formation. Once you're surrounded, you can escape through the spatial formation." Qin Wentian spoke. "If you're afraid, feel free to do as you please." Lu Longcloud coldly spoke to Qin Wentian, his tone somewhat unfriendly. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows only to hear someone beside Lu Longcloud speaking. "There are over 50 geniuses here, including the top ranker of the Thunder Prefecture and the second ranker of the Jing Prefecture. Even if we really encountered them, we would still have the strength to fight them. But if we split up, wouldn't we be easily defeated? What intentions do you have by saying this?" "That's right. If we split up, the moment the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate take revenge, it would be the same as how we dealt with the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. The situation would be completely reversed. If you're afraid, you can just leave. I can see that you didn't put in much effort in the earlier battles." Someone coldly mocked. "Your words are too egotistical. Brother Qin is only thinking for the sake of everyone here. When Brother Qin fought in 8 directions, you haven't even appeared yet. What qualifications do you have to say that Brother Qin didn't put in much effort?" There were also experts standing on the side of Qin Wentian. "That's right, I feel that Qin Wentian's words are logical." Many of the people surrounding Qin Wentian started to speak up for Qin Wentian. Both sides started to argue. There was actually a difference in opinion. "Let's listen to Su Feng. Brother Su is the top ranker of the Thunder Prefecture, and has the most authority to speak," someone suggested. After that, the gazes of everyone turned to Su Feng only to see Su Feng glancing at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian had no way to discern what Su Feng was thinking from his calm eyes. Since we're all gathered together, let's continue forward. If the enemies are too strong, we will retreat. Su Feng spoke. Instantly, many experts voiced their agreement. Ultimately, they still decided to move forward together. Qin Wentian didn't argue any further. In truth, even if they were surrounded, regardless of him or the top ranker of the Thunder Prefecture, Su Feng, it was impossible for them to die. They would be able to leave the battlefield at the first instant. The ones who were unlucky would always be the weaker ones. At this moment, a patch of red light suddenly appeared in the distant sky, dyeing the entire sky red. The people of the Sage Devil Gorge all turned their gazes in that direction. It was as though there was a heavenly phenomenon occurring. Let's go. Su Feng led his group and directly moved in that direction. Qin Wentian's brows were tightly furrowed. But when he saw the crowd moving forward unceasingly, he could only follow along. Brother Qin, there seems to be something fishy about this matter. A person at the side spoke to Qin Wentian. How could Su Feng and the others not know that there's something fishy going on? But he would still choose to go. Even for those who are hesitating, they can only choose to move forward when they see this situation. Qin Wentian spoke. The geniuses at the side nodded in agreement. Not long after, they arrived at the location where the patch of red light was located. This place was surrounded by mountain peaks, and the red light in the sky was red in color, but it was unknown how it was dyed red. Other than them, there were other groups here as well. These were all experts of the other cultivation levels. The people of the Sage Devil Gorge seemed to be heading over here as well. Senior brother, senior sister Qingxian. From not far away, a voice rang out. It was none other than the voice of Jun Mingchen from the 4th level ascendants. He stood there and waved at Qin Wentian. Gu Lufeng was also in the group. 9 groups, people of the 9 cultivation levels, have all arrived here. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. Seems like the location of the final battle would definitely be here. Before this, these participants had already killed many disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. The disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate would definitely have an extremely strong grudge against them. It was unknown how many experts would fall in this battle. Evidently, this was a premeditated trap that lured the participants of the various cultivation levels here. Everyone, let's make our preparations for battle. Someone spoke. Nobody here was stupid. When they saw the situation now, how could they not understand that the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate wanted to lure the participants here for the final battle? And the participants of the various cultivation levels were all very cooperative. 300 to 400 participants stood in the middle of the ancient mountain peaks. From afar, more and more silhouettes appeared. These people were all clad in similar long robes and had cold expressions on their faces. More and more experts gathered, surrounding all the geniuses who were participating in the trial. When the number of participants no longer increased, the participants discovered that the number of disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate who came here was twice as many as them. Xiaoho stood on a mountain peak. His eyes stared at the hundreds of participants as killing intent blazed in his eyes. He icily spoke. This was originally a trial for all of you. Those who passed would become the core disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. You guys can accept this trial with peace of mind. Even if your strength is weaker, you would still have a chance to escape when faced with the attacks of outer or core disciples. However, all of you don't know what's good for you. You guys haven't even become a disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate. Yet you already chose the path of slaughter. Since this is the case, prepare to receive your punishment. Right now, the vast majority of you won't even have the chance to leave this place alive. As the sound of Xiaoho's voice faded, his killing intent gushed forth. The disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate stepped out at the same time, moving towards the experts of their respective cultivation levels. Even the elite disciples also stepped out. For a period of time, the entire space trembled as killing intent permeated the air. Facing against Qin Wentian and the other 5th-level ascendants, there were close to 100 disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. Their auras majestic. Chapter 844. Just like what everyone had expected, the slaughter of the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate caused the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate to be completely enraged. They wanted to encircle and annihilate these participants. Even the elite disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate had to act personally. The disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate wanted to take revenge here. Qin Wentian and the other 50-plus experts gathered together, staring at the hundreds of heavens chosen of the Dongshengxian Gate. The aura of their opponents was even more terrifying. In terms of average strength, the elite and core disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate were clearly stronger than these heavens chosen. Not only that, the Dongshengxian Gate had the advantage in numbers. In such a battle, there was no need to think about the ending. They would definitely lose. Right now, they were thinking about how to deal with this. Should they fight to the death or should they flee? How should we fight? Someone already started to shout. Even if this battle starts, there would still be 160 of them remaining. This means that as long as we persist, we would still be able to survive. A voice rang out, causing the expressions of the experts to turn solemn. That's right, as long as we persist till the end, we would still be able to survive. But who would be able to persist till the very end? The crowd glanced at each other. Their will to fight wavered. They didn't expect that there would actually be so many experts of the Dongshengxian Gate in this Saint Devil Gorge. Su Feng, Lu Longcloud, the two of you are the strongest. This battle shall be led by the two of you. Upon seeing the disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate getting closer and closer, some turned their gazes to Su Feng and Lu Longcloud, placing their hopes on the strongest heavens chosen. Brother Qin, you lead us. Those who had fought with Qin Wentian before gathered around Qin Wentian. They had personally witnessed how tyrannical Qin Wentian was. Compared to Su Feng and Lu Longcloud, they would rather believe in Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stared at the people surrounding him. Their eyes were filled with hope. These people were all willing to believe in him, even if the top ranker of the Thunder Prefecture, Su Feng, was here. Very well, I summoned you all here. Since you are willing to follow me, I will do my best to ensure your safety. Qin Wentian nodded. His words seemed to give everyone a reassurance. They all stood around Qin Wentian and said, "We are all willing to believe in Brother Qin. You decide how to fight, we will absolutely not object." That's right. We'll fight as you say. Flames danced in the eyes of the crowd. Facing the experts of the Dongshengxian Gate, they were surrounded by a strong will to fight. These bastards from the Dongshengxian Gate treated us like prey and hunted us down. How could they speak in such a righteous manner, as if we should be grateful to them for hunting us down? Once we resist, we will be committing heinous crimes. We will be unable to differentiate good from bad. An expert from the Eastern Sage Immortal Sect let out a low-sounding roar. The experts from the Eastern Sage Immortal Sect got closer and closer. They seemed to be extremely cautious as well. Evidently, what happened in the Sage Devil Gorge earlier made them even more cautious. They knew that among these participants, there were some existences that were extremely tough to antagonize. The 27th ranker of the Cloud Prefecture, Qin Wentian, was among this group of people. It seemed like he was the one who launched the first counterattack. Even when facing the encirclement of the disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate, he was still able to escape safely. He was so infuriated that he directly roared and started to hunt down the disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate. His aura grew stronger and stronger as time passed, forming into a violent storm that caused the disciples of the Dongshengxian Gate to suffer heavy casualties. They had to be careful of this person. A bunch of motley crew. At this moment, they actually want to split up and fight for themselves. The experts who followed Su Feng all had unsightly expressions on their faces when they saw the strength gathered around Qin Wentian. Originally, they were already in a disadvantageous position, and now their strength had actually split up. That's right, at this moment they should gather their strength. Another sharp gaze shot over, staring at Qin Wentian. A mere 27th ranker of the Cloud Prefecture actually had so many experts following him? Su Feng also turned his gaze onto Qin Wentian. His countenance was calm, no emotions could be seen. As for the second ranker of the Jing Prefecture, Lu Longcloud, he directly spoke. Since all of you are willing to follow him, it's best for you all not to get close to him after the battle. Lu Longcloud's words seemed to want to completely split this group of experts into two camps. As they were speaking, the experts of the Dongshengxian Gate had already rushed over. Violent constellations of different colors flashed in the sky as an apocalyptic might gushed over, wanting to crush this entire space. Over 100 celestial phenomenon ascendants, even if it was just a single attack, it would already contain the might to destroy the heavens and earth. Just imagine if 100 experts attacked at the same time, the might of their innate techniques would all descend upon them. Very swiftly, the spectators saw over 100 fifth-level ascendants of the Dongshangshan Gate gathering their attacks at the same time, blasting towards Qin Wentian's group. The howling of the raging wind was extremely ear-piercing. The power of their attacks converged together, transforming into a tempest of destruction, akin to a black hole of doomsday, wanting to devour the experts. Attack, tear their formation apart, Su Feng commanded. The geniuses on this side also unleashed their attacks. For those who could last until now, there weren't many weaklings among them. All of them were outstanding geniuses and their attacks contained heaven-shaking might. Qin Wentian's battle chi gushed forth as his bloodline power surged. He released his suppression constellation as he lifted both his palms, suppressing the heavens. This entire space turned incomparably violent as rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The heavens and earth split apart as beams of destructive light ravaged the air, tearing apart the bodies of several geniuses. That deafening rumbling sounds directly killed them, and there were even many who were suppressed to the ground. The formation of the Dongshangshan Gate was completely thrown into disarray. In the air, the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate were still in formation, preparing to launch their second attack. "Follow me to break out of the encirclement," Qin Wentian spoke. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as his body grew taller at an insane speed. His entire body circulated with a dazzling light as dazzling runic light circulated around it. Rumble! Qin Wentian's body grew larger and larger, reaching a height of over 100 meters in the blink of an eye and was still growing. His hands grabbed out, shaking the heavens and earth, directly grabbing towards the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. Qin Wentian's body grew to a height of over 300 meters. How terrifying was this? The experts in the air were so shocked that they all scattered away, breaking their formation. In fact, there were even 2 disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate who were directly killed by his palms. "Go!" Qin Wentian stepped out in large strides as the rumbling sounds reverberated through the air. Both his palms ferociously blasted out once more. His gigantic palms shone with boundless runic light, suppressing the heavens and earth. Those disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate frenziedly attacked, clashing against his palms. Below, the experts who followed Qin Wentian also lifted their palms to attack, helping Qin Wentian to open up a path for him. As for Su Feng and the others, they killed their way towards another direction. The 2 groups of experts officially split up, each taking a different path. In this region surrounded by ancient mountains, the experts of the other cultivation levels also started to clash against each other. They were all intercepted by the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. In an instant, the battle didn't stop. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the earth was torn apart. In fact, there were even some mountain peaks that were shattered by the aftershocks of the battle. This was simply too violent and terrifying. Violent and chaotic, this was the current situation in this vast region. The ultimate battle between the 9 cultivation levels had completely erupted here. Although there were still some geniuses who didn't participate in the battle in other locations, they were already a very small number. Almost all of the geniuses who participated in the tempering exercise had already gathered here. In the group of 5th-level ascendants, Qin Wentian's body had already expanded to a height of over 500 meters. His entire body shone with fiend god light, as well as a terrifying blood-colored glow. At this moment, Qin Wentian was like a supreme demon king with towering battle might. With a lift of his palm, he could crush the heavens and earth. The outer sect disciples couldn't even withstand a single strike from him. As long as there were people who dared to block his palm imprints, they would die instantly. In the blink of an eye, 7 to 8 people were slapped to death by him. Naturally, Qin Wentian himself also suffered quite a number of attacks. Because of the size of his body, he had no way to evade all the attacks, causing fresh blood to flow from his body. How powerful! There were a total of 20 geniuses who followed Qin Wentian. They floated in the air around Qin Wentian, staring at his imposing figure. All of them could feel how powerful Qin Wentian was. As geniuses who participated in the tempering exercise, they naturally had their own pride and arrogance. But when facing against Qin Wentian, they had to admit defeat. In addition, given Qin Wentian's towering strength, if he wanted to leave, who could obstruct him? Nobody could obstruct him. However, he was the one who shouldered the heavens for them. Just because these people followed him and believed in him, he didn't mind enduring the majority of the attacks alone. His gigantic body was stained with wounds. Beside Qin Wentian's gigantic body, there was a silhouette revolving around him, fighting shoulder to shoulder with him. This beautiful silhouette was shrouded in divine light as a divine falcon enveloped her, exuding magnificence through the generations. This silhouette was none other than Zi Qingxian. We can't allow Brother Qin to endure so much pressure. Let's kill him together. Yeah, Brother Qin alone shouldered the heavens and earth. We are all geniuses of the various prefectures. How can we live under the protection of Brother Qin? Numerous voices rang out. The geniuses who participated in the tempering exercise were all demon-level geniuses of the various prefectures, and were extremely arrogant. At this moment, their blood boiled as they all soared up into the air, protecting Qin Wentian and fighting shoulder to shoulder with Qin Wentian, opening up a path for them. Boom! Qin Wentian stomped on the ground. Every step he took caused the earth to crumble and crumble. His palms blasted out countless battle bells as the chimes of the bells echoed out. A core disciple of the Dongshengshan Gate died under the might of the bell chimes. Those experts from the Eastern Sage Immortal sect, who were rushing over to Qin Wentian, were all in a chaotic formation. But behind Qin Wentian, there was a core disciple whose eyes gleamed with a blood-red light. He unleashed his own constellation, which was akin to a black hole of destruction. Beside him, the energy of the experts from the Eastern Sage Immortal sect continued to pour into his constellation unceasingly, being devoured and digested. A destructive might that could destroy the heavens and earth was being brewed. His eyes stared fixedly at Qin Wentian. The sins of this man were too deep. He had killed too many disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate. Qin Wentian's talent was high, and originally, he was destined to be a member of the Dongshengshan Gate, directly becoming an elite disciple. However, his hands were stained with the blood of too many people, and he was destined to die here today. After devouring the energy of 6 to 7 people, a blood-colored black hole manifested in his constellation, resembling a blooming blood-colored devil flower. He stepped out like the wind, and with a wave of his hand, this blood-colored devil flower of destruction shot towards Qin Wentian's gigantic body. In just an instant, a destructive storm of darkness manifested in the air, engulfing everything in its path. Chapter 845. This terrifying tempest was generated by the blood-colored devil flower. It expanded unceasingly, resembling a true black hole. From the sky, this black hole could really devour the 1,500-meter-tall Qin Wentian hole. It was extremely terrifying. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the blood-colored black hole. There seemed to be a boundless destructive tempest gushing out from within. It was extremely terrifying. This caused Qin Wentian to furrow his brows. The elite disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate shouldn't have such powerful attacks. Even for sage child characters, they might not be able to do so, right? The battle chi radiating from him towered up into the sky. When he blasted out with both palms, a constellation manifested, flattening the void as it blasted towards the black hole. The violent turbulence churned the entire space. The eyes of the elite disciple who unleashed this attack gleamed with a blood-colored light. He then spoke to the experts beside him. Gather the energy from your constellation and infuse it into my blood-colored devil flower. The experts all stood beside him, infusing their attacks into the blood-colored devil flower. This devil flower seemed to be born from his constellation. His constellation was extremely unique. It could devour the energy of others and transform it into a blood-colored devil flower, creating a destructive black hole that could devour everything. This type of constellation was definitely an extremely powerful variant-type constellation. Qin Wentian's palms shook the sky as he frenziedly attacked. However, the energy within the black hole grew more and more terrifying. It was as though the energy from the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate was being devoured by the black hole, causing chaos in this space. Beside Qin Wentian, the other experts were also frenziedly attacking the black hole. However, it was completely useless. That black hole was like a bottomless pit, unceasingly devouring their energy. making their strength seem extremely insignificant. Even Qin Wentian was furrowing his brows. This attack was too bizarre. It unceasingly pressed down with the power to destroy the heavens and earth. Right above his head, he could faintly sense the terrifying momentum of this attack wanting to destroy him. Let's destroy this devil flower from its source. We can't let Brother Qin endure it alone. A heaven chosen spoke. After that, he roared in rage as he brandished his 3-meter-long spear and soared up into the air, rushing towards the source of the black hole, that terrifying blood-colored devil flower. Kill them! The battle chi of the spectators towered up into the sky. Upon seeing the experts of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect joining forces to kill Qin Wentian, they had to do something. Kill, kill, kill! A thunderous roar shook the heavens. The figure wielding the 3-meter-long spear roared in rage as his constellation fused together with the spear, piercing towards the devil flower. The other experts all launched their attacks as well, unleashing destructive attacks. You're courting death. That elite disciple had a cold look in his eyes. He struck out with his palm and it was like a black hole that swallowed the spear. It was as though he wanted to swallow the spear whole. The disciples of Dongshangshan Gate immediately rushed over and attacked the elite disciples. Buzz! A raging wind howled as numerous divine falcons swooped down from the sky, aiming to kill the elite disciples. Zi Qingxian had divine blood in her body. She was clad in the light of a divine falcon, resembling a goddess that descended to the mortal world. Rumbling sounds could be heard as she blasted through the air, directly tearing apart the bodies of 2 people. She then broke through the encirclement and rushed towards that elite disciple with irresistible force. The other geniuses also unleashed their most intense attacks, killing their way towards the devil flower. They had to destroy it no matter what, reducing the pressure on Qin Wentian. Do you guys want to die so badly in his place? The blood-colored eyes of that elite disciple flickered with malevolence, as though he was in a frenzy. All of you retreat. Qin Wentian roared. His palms blasted out like a raging storm, causing the black hole to tremble. However, at this moment, that elite disciple also let out a terrifying howl of rage. All of you can go to hell. Qin Wentian's countenance drastically changed. After that, he felt a heaven-annihilating might exploding forth. The terrifying black hole was collapsing as a suffocating destructive might gushed forth. The disciples of Dongshangshan Gate unleashed their attacks at the same time as they soared into the air, leaving this place. The other geniuses also sensed that this destructive force was too strong. They all retreated, but it was already too late for the people at the front. The black hole storm erupted with beams of light of calamity, directly smashing into the bodies of the geniuses. The black beams of calamity directly tore their bodies apart. Their eyes were filled with despair. Cracking sounds rang out incessantly as their bodies completely exploded. In that area, a devil cloud of destruction churned wildly. Qin Wentian saw the first genius who rushed over with his spear was the first to die. His eyes flashed with a tyrannical light as the killing intent from his body gushed forth. In that single strike, 4 people were killed by the destructive might. Each of them had an arm torn off as they screamed in agony. Zi Qingxian was also injured by the aftershocks. If it wasn't for the fact that the people at the back retreated quickly, this destructive might would have affected even more people. These geniuses all turned ashen as they stared at the disciples of Dongshangshan Gate in the air. Before this, because they were separated from Su Feng and the others, the disciples of Dongshangshan Gate were split into 2 groups. There were 40 to 50 people in each group and now there were still over 30 of them remaining. Their auras were extremely terrifying and at this moment, they once again gathered around that elite disciple, preparing to launch a second wave of attacks. The countenances of the geniuses were all malevolent as they let out low-sounding roars of rage. Their auras towered up into the sky. Boom, boom, boom. A series of ear-piercing crackling sounds rang out unceasingly as the rumbling shockwaves soared up into the sky. The expressions of the crowd flickered as they stared at Qin Wentian. They only saw Qin Wentian's 1,500-meter-tall body radiating a towering divine battle light, as battle halos revolved around him. All 3 levels of the battle art were unleashed and at this moment, his strength was so strong that it could shake the heavens and earth. It was sufficient to cause even geniuses at the same level to feel fear, as though they were facing an undefeatable supreme battle king. Upon seeing that the elite disciple was once again gathering his strength, Qin Wentian's rage towered up into the sky. With a roar of rage, numerous terrifying suppressive silhouettes and gigantic swords slammed out. At the same time, he blasted out battle bells, causing the disciples of Dongshengshan Gate to feel as though their souls were about to scatter. Die! Qin Wentian's gigantic frame soared up into the air as the battle bell blasted out. The experts of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect joined forces to defend against it, unceasingly attacking and finally shattering the battle bell. However, at this moment, two gigantic palm imprints that blotted out the sky blasted over, directly slamming into the bodies of the experts. There was no energy that could block his attack, and in an instant, a few of the experts from the Eastern Sage Immortal sect died. Qin Wentian's 1,500-meter-tall body soared up into the sky, directly disrupting the attack formation of the disciples of Dongshengshan Gate. Those people crazily launched attacks at Qin Wentian, yet Qin Wentian's entire body was shimmering with runic light as the ringing of bells could be heard from time to time. It was as though he had completely disregarded the attacks of many experts. With a roar of rage, he slashed out with his sword and at the same time, both of his palms blasted out. In an instant, tens of towering palm imprints were blasted out. Terrifying booming sounds rang out unceasingly as more experts were killed. Kill him! That elite disciple roared. Qin Wentian had gone mad, forcefully enduring their attacks. He would rather suffer injuries just to kill them. Kill him! The disciples of Dongshengshan Gate rushed towards Qin Wentian's gigantic body in a frenzy. All sorts of astonishing powers erupted forth as they attacked Qin Wentian. Kill! The geniuses below also reacted. One by one, they soared up into the sky to support Qin Wentian. Everyone was completely enraged. They didn't care about the price, they had to kill these disciples of Dongshengshan Gate. I'll take the brunt of the attacks. Qin Wentian roared. Boundless battle bells radiated from his body, as the incomparably powerful battle halo and runic light circulated around his body. This caused the attacks of the disciples of Dongshengshan Gate to unceasingly land on him, yet they were only able to shatter the surface of his body. However, with the incomparably gigantic palms of Qin Wentian, there would be people dying with each strike. Nobody could withstand the power of Qin Wentian at this moment. Boundless might was infused into the fiend god heavenly suppression art. In addition to the power of his bloodline, the runic light from the fiend god body refinement art, his gigantic physique, and the three-layered battle art, Qin Wentian simply transformed into a supreme god of war, capable of annihilating all existences. I don't believe it, let's see how long he can last. A disciple of Dongshengshan Gate howled in madness. With so many of them attacking Qin Wentian together, they actually couldn't kill him at all. Such humiliation wasn't inferior to the threat of death. All of them were fifth-level ascendants of the Dongshengshan Gate, and there were even core and elite disciples among them. How could they not be able to kill Qin Wentian even if they attacked him with all their might? Yeah, his external defenses have already been destroyed. We have to kill him no matter what. All the experts of Dongshengshan Gate aimed their attacks at Qin Wentian's gigantic physique. Destructive might blasted out unceasingly, causing the external defenses of Qin Wentian to crumble unceasingly. But at the same time, Qin Wentian's palms slashed through the air, containing a supreme suppressive might within. Every time he attacked, at least two people would die. At the same time, those experts who followed Qin Wentian also frenziedly attacked. Zi Qingxian transformed into a divine falcon, tearing apart the bodies of her opponents. In just a short period of time, the experts of Dongshengshan Gate were only left with over 10 people. They no longer had an advantage in terms of numbers. Shatter. If we continue attacking, he will be a dead man. That elite disciple who unleashed the destructive might of the black hole earlier roared in rage. Although the surface of Qin Wentian's body was still glowing with runic light, he was already covered in blood. Kill! The experts of Dongshengshan Gate had already entered a frenzied state. Even if they had to die, they had to kill Qin Wentian. As long as Qin Wentian died, the others wouldn't be able to pose any threat to them. Boom boom! Another 3 people were crushed to death by Qin Wentian. The other experts also slayed another expert. The number of experts of Dongshengshan Gate continued to decrease, but they once again launched a collective attack on Qin Wentian. They spared no expense to kill Qin Wentian. Roar roar roar! An earth-shattering roar of a demonic beast rang out as a sudden change occurred. A A primordial demon king revolved around Qin Wentian, and was even larger compared to Qin Wentian. It directly enveloped Qin Wentian within, like a layer of demonic light. No matter how terrifying the attacks blasted over, they had no way to shatter this primordial demon king. Initially, I didn't want to start a massacre, but since you guys want to force me, I shall grant you your wish. Qin Wentian's voice was like a demon, so cold that it could pierce the bones. Chapter 846. From the start, Qin Wentian didn't use his full strength in combat. After all, to him, the battle in the Sage Devil Gorge was nothing more than a tempering exercise. He only needed to pass this test. There was no need for him to put his life on the line. Hence, when he first stepped into the Sage Devil Gorge, he killed those who came to hunt him down. He didn't clean up the corpse and only used it as a deterrent, hoping that he wouldn't be disturbed by others. But clearly he was wrong. What happened next exceeded his expectations. More and more experts from the Dongshangshan Gate came to hunt him down. If it wasn't for the fact that he had so many trump cards in his hands, he would have long since died. When Xiahou used the excuse of his character to lead the disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect to surround him, Qin Wentian was truly enraged. Hence he started his path of slaughter. But even so, although he was venting his anger, he wasn't completely crazy yet. He only wanted Xiahou to pay the price. For those geniuses who stood at the peak, they wouldn't reveal all their trump cards too early unless they were in a life-and-death situation. This was something that was inevitable. But the people of the Dongshangshan Gate seemed to be determined to kill him. They killed several people who were willing to follow him, and he didn't even have the time to rescue them before they were engulfed by the destructive light. This caused the flames of his anger to burn crazily, causing him to truly sink into a state of madness. And the people of the Dongshangshan Gate also went crazy, going all out just to kill him. Since this was the case, he could only kill them all. Only then would he be able to protect himself and those who followed him. At this moment, the bloodline protection in his body was activated. The bloodline energy flowing in his body was unleashed to the maximum. That ancient demon that seemed to have originated from the primordial era, vaguely resembling Qin Wentian, protected him tightly. Incomparably violent energy blasted over, yet it was unable to destroy this ancient demon protector. Qin Wentian's low-sounding roar shook the hearts of everyone. At the instant he inclined his head, the ancient demon protector lifted its head as well. Its terrifying demonic eyes pierced through the eyes of the experts of the Dongshangshan Gate, directly piercing into their hearts, causing their hearts to pound violently. Before this, Qin Wentian was already terrifying enough. But when this incomparably violent bloodline demon protector appeared, the entire sky was filled with an incomparably tyrannical demonic qi, wanting to prostrate the myriad of demons, causing everyone to tremble. Die! Qin Wentian roared in a low voice. His gigantic palm stretched out and directly grabbed towards the elite disciple who created the black hole earlier. That gigantic palm seemed to be enveloped by an incomparably demonic light as it grabbed towards the elite disciple. That elite disciple's countenance drastically changed. He unleashed his constellation to its limits, wanting to destroy everything. With a flick of his finger, the black hole devoured everything, transforming into a blood-colored devil flower. Bang! A towering blood-colored demonic light slammed down, directly shattering the blood-colored devil flower. Qin Wentian's palm imprint blasted onto the blood-colored devil flower, yet the ancient demon's palm imprint was like a corporeal entity, directly grabbing towards that elite disciple, as though he was an ant. Release me! That elite disciple let out a frenzied howl. His entire body was trembling violently. At this moment death was so close, it felt as though it could descend at any moment. His eyes stared in the direction of Qin Wentian, only to see a pair of blood-colored demonic eyes that could pierce through the hearts of others. Boom! The demonic palm smashed down, causing fresh blood to splatter. That elite disciple was directly smashed into pieces, his soul dissipating, unable to withstand a single strike. In the surroundings of Qin Wentian, the other geniuses also frenziedly attacked, killing several disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. Because earlier they gave it their all, disregarding everything, only wanting to kill Qin Wentian. However, they were obstructed by the demonic beast protector, and all their attacks were focused on Qin Wentian. This directly caused some of them to be unable to defend in time and were killed. Not only that, the strongest elite disciple among them also died, killed by a single palm strike from Qin Wentian. The ending of this battle seemed to have been decided. More than 50 disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate actually suffered a crushing defeat. This sounded so ridiculous. After this strike, everyone in the battle actually paused for a moment, looking at the 500-meter-tall figure that seemed to be the descendant of the primordial demon king. They were all in a trance. How many types of powers did this young man have? Sometimes his battle chi was monstrous, with battle halos around his body like a war king. Sometimes his body shone with divine light, suppressing everything. And now he was like a demon from the primordial era, too terrifying. Those geniuses who followed Qin Wentian were completely speechless. They had never seen such a tyrannical character at the same level as them. This young man should have surpassed the pinnacle of this realm. They really couldn't imagine what kind of person could defeat an existence like Qin Wentian at the same level as them. They suddenly realized that maybe in this grand banquet the person before them would have a place in the top 3. Not only did they realize this, the other disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect also felt the same way. They felt regret in their hearts. Why did they have to hunt down Qin Wentian and spare no expense to kill him? If they allowed him to leave, they wouldn't be in such a situation now. The people of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect were facing the danger of being annihilated. Go! It was unknown who it was that let out a roar. The disciples of the Eastern Sage Immortal sect instantly reacted and fled in the direction they came from. They no longer wished to continue fighting. That was a path of death. Right now, only by regrouping with the other experts would they have a chance of survival. Roar! A terrifying roar of a demonic beast shook the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian stomped on the ground and blasted out with both of his hands. The gigantic and terrifying demonic arms slashed out together, destroying everything in front of him. Boom, boom, boom. Several consecutive sounds rang out. Every explosion signified the death of a disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate. In front of the current Qin Wentian, not a single one of them could withstand a single attack. Too powerful. The Qin Wentian at this moment was no longer on the same level as them. The others were frantically fleeing for their lives. Fear was written all over their faces as their hearts pounded. Death was just too close to them. Don't even think of leaving. An incomparably demonic voice drifted over, as though it was right beside their ears. Behind them, rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as the earth beneath them was torn apart. There were a few people who were fleeing shoulder to shoulder when they suddenly felt a terrifying demonic light beside them. When they turned their heads to take a look, they were instantly frightened out of their wits, as though their hearts were about to jump out from their throats. Beside them, that incomparably gigantic demonic silhouette seemed to have separated itself from Qin Wentian's body. It tilted its body and stood shoulder to shoulder with them. The gigantic head of the demonic silhouette was so terrifying that one could faintly see the silhouette of Qin Wentian. 2 arms stretched out. The disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate let out incomparably terrified screams as they closed their eyes. At this moment, there was only despair in their hearts. The demonic palms grabbed over, crushing their bodies into smithereens. Naturally, this was also because the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate had already lost their will to fight. They didn't even dare to fight and could only flee with all their might. If they were captured, only death awaited them. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The earth unceasingly split apart as numerous experts fell. Finally, that terrifying demonic palm killed the last person and this battle was finally concluded. Qin Wentian's camp paid the price of losing several experts to annihilate an army of over 50 disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate. Not a single one was spared. This was simply too terrifying. The experts behind all sped over, landing beside Qin Wentian. They stared at the vanishing disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, as well as the terrifying fissures in the ground. All of them felt a sense of surrealism in their hearts. A 5th-level ascendant actually had such destructive power. Zi Qingxuan's beautiful eyes flickered as she stared at Qin Wentian. She was also extremely taken aback. Qin Wentian's combat prowess far exceeded her expectations. Although she had already overestimated Qin Wentian, she didn't expect him to be so powerful to this extent. Qin Wentian was like a person with no weaknesses at all. Not only that, every aspect of his strength had already reached the pinnacle, completely unshakable. Qin Wentian, who was going all out in combat, was like the king of slaughter. Those disciples opened their mouths, wanting to say something, but at this moment, they didn't know what to say. They could sense that Qin Wentian was a character on a completely different level from them. Even if they wanted to call him Brother Qin, they couldn't even say it out loud anymore. The protection of Qin Wentian's bloodline power gradually vanished. The violent aura radiating from him also calmed down. His 1,500-meter-tall body shrunk back to his normal size as he took out a few robes and wrapped them around himself. The astral light radiating from him had yet to dissipate. He stared at the others and spoke, "In this battle, several of our brothers have fallen. I've let them down. Brother Qin has already done enough. If it wasn't for Brother Qin, I'm afraid all of us would have died here." In this battle, Brother Qin fought alone. Someone sighed deeply. These weren't words of courtesy but were spoken from the depths of his heart. "That's right, we followed you to battle. Brother Qin doesn't owe us anything. If he wanted to leave, it would be extremely easy for him to do so. Yet, he chose to fight for us, not hesitating to go crazy. We aren't blind, how can we not see that the deaths of our brothers were all accidents?" Brother Qin had no way to save them at that moment. Everyone spoke. Their eyes were filled with respect for Qin Wentian. Leaving aside Qin Wentian's strength, just his character of fighting for them was already sufficient to earn their respect. If not, why would Qin Wentian need to risk his life to fight, not even hesitating to go crazy and unleash heaven-shaking might, cleansing the experts of the Dongshangshan Gate clean with blood? "It's a pity for our fallen brothers," Qin Wentian sighed. His gaze swept the surroundings. Their battle didn't attract too much attention from the other regions. Because, in each region, the most violent battles were happening. The experts of the various cultivation levels were all fighting for their own lives. They basically had no time to be distracted by the battles in other regions. The earth-shattering, destructive battle continued madly, but the number of people had already decreased by a lot. It was unknown how many geniuses had died in this battle. Chapter 847. Standing in the middle of the battlefield, Qin Wentian and the others stared at their surroundings, feeling waves of coldness. This should be the true portrayal of the immortal realms. The Eastern Sage 13 prefectures were organizing a grand event every 100 years, but for this grand event, the geniuses from all over the 13 prefectures had to risk their lives for it. It was cruel and realistic. These geniuses were all demon-level characters from the 13 prefectures. If they were willing to live in a remote corner, they might be able to live a more comfortable life. But if they had ambitions and dreams, they had no choice but to accept the cruel trials, gaining a new life amidst the blazing flames of blood and tears, growing unceasingly and transforming, becoming a true expert, someone like those supreme characters of the Dongshangshan Gate. Naturally, those geniuses also gambled like this before they obtained their current achievements. On their path of growth, how many outstanding geniuses of the same generation had they trampled over? Only they themselves knew. In fact, if they still wanted to climb higher, they would have to continue on their journey until one day, they could stand at the peak of the immortal realms. Using the blood of geniuses to create this grand event, Qin Wentian mumbled. Although his body was somewhat fatigued, his back was still as straight as a 1,000-year-old pine tree. Despite the torrential rain, he wouldn't bend his back at all. He had his own story, his own dreams, and also a responsibility. He longed to stand together with that holy maiden who had once silently sacrificed herself for him. He longed to not be looked down upon by others. He longed to have the ability to look straight at the heavens. He longed to search for his origins, to search for the legendary story of his parents. Hence, he had to straighten his back and walk forward with unwavering determination, no matter how many thorns there were on the road ahead. Yeah, the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures have always been contending for supremacy. From the start until now, blood has been spilled for every round of selection. When the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor finally accepts the final 3 disciples, how many people would have to die for the sake of those 3? The spectators at the side also sighed in admiration. Those 3 who were the last to succeed were destined to have no fate with them. With a supreme demon-level genius like Gusu Tianqi, as well as a radiant genius like Qin Wentian, they could truly feel the disparity between them. The gap between geniuses could not be made up for. But the 3 who are selected in the end will soar into the sky. With their own talents and the careful training of the Dongshengshan Gate, they might even have the chance to become the personal disciples of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. They will only become more and more outstanding. Brother Qin, among us, you are probably the only one with hope. You must seize this opportunity. Someone beside him stared at Qin Wentian and gave his blessing. I will definitely enter the top 3. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice, his words containing the conviction of an expert. However, he only said that he would enter the top 3. He didn't say anything else. Even if he entered the top 3, he wouldn't necessarily have to take the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor as his master. We all believe in you. The people beside him nodded heavily. They didn't know what Qin Wentian was thinking in his heart. They were all filled with anticipation for Qin Wentian to become a sage child character of the Dongshengshan Gate. Only Zi Qingshuan's eyes flickered with a strange light. Only she knew the ultimate goal of Qin Wentian, Jun Mengchen and herself. The top 3 but not the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor. In this battlefield, only Qin Wentian and his companions could have a moment of leisure. The battles between the various factions were still going on. The other 30-plus 5th-level ascendants who were in the same camp as Qin Wentian and his companions weren't as lucky as them. After being surrounded, they suffered heavy casualties. Although Su Feng and the other geniuses they had high hopes for were tyrannical, they were still taken care of. At the same time, there were many experts ganging up on them. In addition, Su Feng wasn't willing to use his full strength to fight for those he wasn't familiar with. Very quickly, he begged the other experts to leave. After all, his strength was still extremely tyrannical. It wasn't too difficult for him to leave. Those disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate didn't pursue Su Feng. Instead, they continued to surround and kill the other geniuses, causing the other experts to be in a miserable state. They began to flee in different directions. Along the way, they were intercepted and killed. Sometimes some of them died. If they had known this would happen, they would have listened to Qin Wentian and disbanded earlier. At this moment, there were 2 experts frantically running in the same direction. These 2 geniuses were severely injured, and there were 6 to 7 people chasing after them. The distance between the 2 parties was getting closer and closer. The disciples of Dongshengshan Gate had a hideous smile on their faces as if they were toying with them. They said coldly, "You won't be able to escape." Arg! The 2 of them howled madly in anger. They bit their lips, releasing their astral energy to the extreme as they fled madly. However, they still couldn't shake off the people behind them. They felt some despair. At this moment, they saw a group of silhouettes standing in front of them. They seemed to be very relaxed, not fighting at all, as if they had nothing to do. When they saw the faces of these people clearly, their hearts violently twitched. How could this be possible? Where were the experts of the Dongshengshan Gate? Qin Wentian and the others also saw these 2. One of them was the one who mocked Qin Wentian the loudest earlier, saying that Qin Wentian and the others were just a bunch of mobs trying to divide them. Pairs of eyes stared at each other. Qin Wentian and the others' countenances were indifferent and calm. After experiencing this battle, many of them had a trip to the gates of hell. If it wasn't for Qin Wentian's strength and his crazy protection, all of them would have died. As for those people opposite them, since they chose to follow Su Feng, they chose their own path. In that case, they should face the consequences themselves. Rumble. Numerous attacks rained down. Evidently, the experts of the Dongshengshan Gate had noticed the group of people ahead. They quickened their pace and directly launched their attacks over, landing on the bodies of those 2 experts. The 2 of them trembled violently as they coughed out blood. They got closer and closer to Qin Wentian and the others. One of them asked, "How did you guys do it?" His eyes were bloodshot and his aura was extremely weak. But even so, he still wanted to understand why these people were unharmed. Qin Wentian used his strength to kill the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate and protected us. This is all because we chose to follow him. One of them spoke. When the 2 of them heard this, they first started. After that, expressions of madness appeared on their faces as they laughed maniacally. That's right, these people chose to follow Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian actually protected them. But the Su Feng they chose to follow actually abandoned everyone and left. Even Lu Longcloud chose to leave alone. This was truly cruel. They were filled with hatred. Boom! Destructive energy gushed forth. The two of them let out roars of despair before they were engulfed by the destructive energy and were directly annihilated. The disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate who killed them all frowned when they saw Qin Wentian and the others. Where were the other experts of the Dongshangshan Gate who surrounded them? Was it really like what that person said earlier? All of them were killed by Qin Wentian? All of them stared at Qin Wentian, their eyes filled with trepidation. This was a heaven's chosen that they had always wanted to kill but were unable to do so. Qin Wentian had an unparalleled combat prowess, and regardless of core or elite disciples, many of them had died in his hands. At this level of cultivation, it was as though there was no one who could kill him. Scram! Qin Wentian spat out a single word. Those disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate all had unsightly expressions on their faces, yet they didn't dare to retaliate. They could only turn and leave with their tails between their legs. The expressions on their faces were as unsightly as one could imagine. They were disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, yet they were being slaughtered by a genius who didn't even mask his humiliation. Yet they didn't even have the courage to reply. How laughable was this? They were actually afraid that if they replied, Qin Wentian would kill them all in a fit of rage. Maybe Qin Wentian was already sick of killing. At this moment he didn't continue killing and chose to let those people leave. This cruel battle had already caused the deaths of many geniuses. It should be ending soon, right? All of you stop fighting. At this moment, a thunderous voice thundered through the air, causing everyone to instantly stop fighting. In fact, there were even some who retracted their attacks. To people at their level, they could already retract their attacks as they wished. Now that an immortal king of the Dongshangshan Gate had issued an order, who would dare to disobey? 160 participants have already appeared. All of you can exit through a small-scale spatial formation. That imposing voice rang out once more, containing a hint of unhappiness within. Xiahou also stopped fighting. He had actually participated in this battle earlier. Upon hearing that imposing voice, his heart crumbled. He stood on the mountain peak and swept his gaze over the surroundings, as though he was searching for something. In this battle, Qin Wentian should have already died, right? But at this moment, when his gaze landed in a certain direction, his countenance alternated between shades of green and white. How could this be possible? That person actually didn't die? In addition, that person seemed to have sensed something. His gaze actually penetrated through space and stared in Xiahou's direction. That cold gaze was like a silent provocation. It was as though he was telling Xiahou that he, Qin Wentian, was still standing there and was destined to become the center of attention of everyone. After this battle, Qin Wentian would be promoted and would definitely become a core disciple or even an elite disciple. If he wanted to kill Qin Wentian again, it would be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. He had already missed the best opportunity. After that, Qin Wentian turned and left the battlefield with the others, searching for a spatial formation as they left the Sage Devil Gorge. This trial has finally ended. Outside the Sage Devil Gorge, numerous figures appeared. Regardless of those who had already exited, or the remaining 160 participants, as well as the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate, all of them appeared here and were clearly divided into three camps. Those who were eliminated and could only become outer disciples, those who succeeded in becoming core disciples, and those who succeeded in becoming Dongshangshan Gate disciples. Those who will become outer disciples, leave with him. If you are unwilling, you can choose to leave as well. The immortal king at the front pointed to a black-robed figure beside him. That black-robed figure nodded to the outer disciples before leading them away. This time, the disciples of the Dongshangshan Gate will be hunted down. Leave by yourselves. The elite disciples will be sent to the immortal punishment palace to await further orders. That immortal king continued, his words causing the hearts of the elite disciples to tremble. Xiahou was so frightened that his countenance turned pale as he left with trepidation in his heart. Congratulations to everyone. You have already obtained the qualifications to become a core disciple of the Dongshangshan Gate. Next, you will be participating in the immortal banquet of the Dongshangshan Gate. Many famous supreme characters will be present. That immortal king smiled as he stared at everyone, no longer as solemn as before. Although these people were only core disciples, many of them had the potential to become elite disciples since they were able to persist until now after numerous rounds of selection. Core disciple status was merely a treatment they received the moment they joined the sect. Chapter 848. It's over. Everyone drew in a deep breath. They had finally obtained the final 160 slots. To many, this was already sufficient. Naturally, to those demon-level geniuses, they still wanted to fight for an even more illustrious position. Brother Qin, many thanks. Many people walked to the side of Qin Wentian, as expressions of gratitude could be seen on their faces. If it wasn't for Qin Wentian, they wouldn't have been able to reach this step. Back then, following Qin Wentian was truly the right choice. Naturally, there were also people whose gazes were extremely sharp, staring at Qin Wentian. Black Peak was the one with the most piercing gaze. Qin Wentian was actually still alive, becoming a core disciple and exiting the Sage Devil Gorge. From this, one could very well imagine the rage in his heart. Other than Black Peak, Su Feng and Lu Changfeng were also contemplating Qin Wentian. This young man actually led those 5th-level ascendants out of the Sage Devil Gorge. How interesting. What happened exactly? Why was their luck so good? There seems to be more 5th-level ascendants? The immortal king of the Dongshengshan Gate discovered something strange. This time around, the Dongshengshan Gate recruited a total of 160 core disciples. If they were split into 9 levels, there would be around 17 to 18 participants in each level. Naturally, it was normal for there to be some deviations. After all, the number of participants in each level was different. However, those at the 5th level of celestial phenomenon were much more numerous. There were already over 10 of them gathered around Qin Wentian. In addition to the scattered geniuses, there were a total of 25 to 26 5th-level ascendants. However, he didn't think too much about it. Since he managed to come here, he had already obtained the slots to become a core disciple. This was the rule. No matter how they did it, even for those who didn't participate in the final battle earlier, they still had to acknowledge them. Naturally, such a situation was extremely rare. Before the final battle, the disciples of the Dongshengshan Gate would already be able to see all the geniuses in the Sage Devil Gorge and hunt them down. The truly weak ones have already been eliminated. Everyone follow me. Pay attention to etiquette later. After all, there will be many powerful figures attending the banquet. That immortal king from the Dongshengshan Gate spoke to everyone. After that, he stepped out and let everyone into the depths of the Dongshengshan Gate. 160 experts strolled in the air, passing by incomparably magnificent buildings. This Dongshengshan Gate was like a real heavenly palace, filled with the majesty of a king. Occasionally, soldiers clad in armor and wielding long spears could be seen moving about. Each of them was extremely tyrannical and had immortal halos around them. Even the ordinary guards were at the immortal foundation realm, their strength far surpassing one's imagination. Also, the deeper they went, the stronger the guards were. At the very end, some of the leaders of the guards radiated a terrifying might. When they glanced at the crowd, their gazes were like supreme spears that wanted to pierce through them. These were definitely characters at the immortal king realm, possessing shocking strength. The ancient palaces before them all exuded a supremely imposing aura. The immortal king leading the way spoke, "You are not allowed to fly in the air ahead. Get down." As the sound of his voice faded, he took the lead and walked down. Everyone could clearly feel the majestic aura of the ancient palaces in front of them. All of them followed him to the ground. In front of an incomparably majestic monument, many experts appeared. They were divided into 13 camps, and their gazes were all sizing up those who came. There are actually 10 people from my Cloud Prefecture who passed. Not bad at all. The idle Cloud Immortal King had a smile on his face as he stared at the geniuses from the Cloud Prefecture. A total of 10 of them passed. The 160 participants were split evenly among the 13 prefectures. Each prefecture had about 12 participants, but in reality, it was impossible to be so evenly distributed. The Eastern Prefecture, Qin Prefecture and Li Prefecture had too many powerful geniuses, and naturally, they would be allocated more slots. After that, the Blazing Sun Prefecture, Supreme Moon Prefecture, Western Desert Prefecture and Underworld Prefecture. Although the idle Cloud Immortal King was the lord of the Cloud Prefecture, he knew his own limits. Initially, he thought that it would already be considered not bad if the Cloud Prefecture had 7 or 8 participants. However, he didn't expect that 10 would pass. This could already be considered extremely good. Qin Wentian, Zi Qingxian and Jun Mengqian were all qualified. There was no need to mention the top ranker of the Cloud Prefecture, Gu Zhantian. There was also his descendant Mu Yun, Zhou Yu from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor, Yi Chongfeng from the Myriad Sage Sacred Academy, Xia Hanjiang from the Cloud Tower Sage Sect, Pang Shangyue from the Suppression Immortal Sect and Ghost Saber Mu Yen from the Saber Lord of Death. These 10 weren't bad at all. There were many experts beside the Idle Cloud Immortal King. They came from the various major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. The Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor, Myriad Sage Academy, and the Suppression Immortal Sect were all extremely happy when they saw their disciples passing. The geniuses of their sects truly didn't disappoint them. The situation in the other prefectures was the same as the Cloud Prefecture. If there were disciples that passed, the elders of their sects would naturally be happy. But for those who didn't, the countenances of those experts all dimmed, as though they had lost face. There are actually 10 from the Cloud Prefecture? How interesting. The leader of the Eastern Prefecture laughed, his tone filled with disdain. He stared at Gusu Tianqi. Gusu Tianqi was a genius that exuded magnificence throughout the generations. He would definitely be able to lock onto the position of a sage child. My Eastern Prefecture has a total of 17 participants. At the very least, there would be one sage child character. I hope that 2 of them would be able to fight their way into the top 3. The eyes of the leader of the Eastern Prefecture gleamed with sharpness. Gusu Tianqi was already one of the top 3 rankers. If another sage child character appeared from the Eastern Prefecture, they would be able to occupy 2 out of the 13 prefectures. How proud would that be? Let's go to the banquet first before we continue our discussion. That immortal king who brought them here laughed. After which, the crowd nodded their heads as they moved towards the other side of the gate. After passing through an ancient pathway, they came to a vast space. There were battle platforms, long corridors, and right ahead, an incomparably majestic great hall could be seen, so tall that it towered up into the clouds. Green Cloud Hall. Everyone stared at the signboard above the great hall that shot straight up into the clouds. There were a few gigantic words carved on it, and each of the 3 words seemed to contain a supreme might, as though they truly had the power to pierce through the 9 heavens. Before the Green Cloud Hall, there was a flight of stairs leading up to the banquet. There were many immortal seats placed there, as though they were prepared for the incoming guests. The immortal seats, as well as the seats at the 2 ends of the corridor, were all filled with delicacies and wine. Behind them, there were many beautiful serving girls quietly standing there. Upon seeing the arrival of the guests, the serving girls immediately went forward to welcome them and lead them to their seats. The wine here is all top-grade immortal wine, and the delicacies here are all immortal medicines. Under the guidance of the serving girls, the Idle Cloud Immortal King led the 10 geniuses of the Cloud Prefecture to their seats as he introduced to the crowd. The other immortal kings of the Cloud Prefecture also sat around him. The experts from the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures took their seats one after another. Very swiftly, the atmosphere of the banquet was filled to the brim. At the 2 sides of the flight of stairs, more and more experts appeared. Each and every one of them gave off an unfathomable feeling. They sat on the immortal seats and surveyed the crowd. These people were none other than immortal kings of the Dongshengshan Gate. It's finally over. You made us old fellows wait here for so many days. A voice drifted over from afar, causing many to turn their gazes over. There were people flying through the air in this region. Undoubtedly, these people were guests of the Dongshengshan Gate and they were all immortal kings. If not, they wouldn't have such privileges. Yeah, I wonder what demon-level geniuses would appear this time around. Would they be able to catch His Majesty's eye and be accepted as a personal disciple? Many immortal kings appeared in the air, chatting and laughing. Their speed wasn't fast and were all leisurely flying through the air, surveying the geniuses below. At this moment, Qin Wentian could clearly sense powerful immortal senses sweeping past him. For people at the same level as them, spying on others was an extremely impolite behavior. But for immortal kings, who would dare to say anything? I heard that there's a Gusu Tianqi in the Eastern Prefecture who's extremely powerful. He might be able to catch His Majesty's eye and become a personal disciple. I've heard of this Gusu Tianqi before. He's known as the #1 genius below Immortal Foundation in the Eastern Prefecture. He's from the Gusu clan and has a single descendant for 9 generations. Every generation has immortal kings, and he's also an innate immortal king with talent that surpasses his ancestors. It's rumored that he has the potential to become an immortal emperor. Someone laughed, not bothering to hide anything, causing the gazes of many to turn to Gusu Tianqi. However, Gusu Tianqi's expression was calm as he quietly sat there, as though all the discussions had nothing to do with him. These immortal kings came to their seats and clasped their hands to the immortal kings of the Dongshengshan Gate. I heard that the disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King has also participated in this time around. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, the Deep Flame Immortal King even allowed him to participate from the first round. Given the talent of the Deep Flame Immortal King's disciple, he would surely be extremely famous for a period of time. An immortal king laughed, wanting to flatter the Deep Flame Immortal King. The gazes of many turned to Black Peak. Black Peak stood up and bowed to them. Junior Black Peak pays his respect to all the seniors present. You're too polite. It's rare for a junior to be so polite. That immortal king smiled, extremely polite. After all, Black Peak was the personal disciple of the Deep Flame Immortal King. However, they didn't know that Black Peak's performance in the selection test was extremely unfavorable. Not only that, it could even be said that he was humiliated. Naturally, it was impossible for Black Peak to say this out loud. This time around, the battle for the top 3 rankings is extremely difficult. For some of the personal disciples of Immortal Kings, they would directly participate in the selection test. Although they already have a master and wouldn't be able to join the Dongshengshan Gate, it's still one of the tests for the geniuses. The Immortal Kings chatted merrily. From afar, there were still Immortal Kings arriving unceasingly, stepping into this vast region. The distance between each Immortal King's seats was extremely wide, and the demeanor of the Immortal Kings could be seen with a single glance. There are so many experts, too many. The geniuses stared at the Immortal Kings arriving one after another, feeling shock in their hearts. This was truly a grand banquet. Many famous characters of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures paid their respects, and behind them, there were also many Immortal Foundation characters. However, they didn't even have the qualifications to sit down and could only stand in a corner. Only the Immortal Kings had the qualifications to sit down. Not too long after, this entire space was filled with experts. At this moment, from afar, a few extraordinary characters walked over. Their auras were even more extraordinary. It's the Scarce Moon Immortal King and the Myriad Incarnations Immortal King. These 2 supreme Immortal Kings have arrived. Many Immortal Kings stood up and waved to the 2 of them. Beside these 2 Immortal Kings, there were 2 young men exuding magnificence throughout the generations. Is this Tianyi, the personal disciple of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor? The first thing the Scarce Moon Immortal King did after arriving at the Dongshengshan Gate was to have a small gathering with Tianyi. Right now, Tianyi is the hope of the Scarce Moon Immortal Manor. The Myriad Incarnations Immortal King is as beautiful as ever. The young man beside her should be Hua Taishu, right? Just like the rumors, he's also a supreme character. We pay our respects to the Scarce Moon Immortal King and Myriad Incarnations Immortal King. Everyone clasped their hands and smiled. The 2 Immortal Kings in the air also smiled back. Qin Wentian also glanced at the 4 Immortal Kings in the air. He had met all 4 of them before. Chapter 849. Back then, when the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor went to a particle world to recruit disciples, the Scarce Moon Immortal King and Myriad Incarnations Immortal King had already arrived. The Scarce Moon Immortal King brought his descendant Tianyi over. Tianyi's performance was extremely outstanding, and after Qin Wentian failed to acknowledge him as a master, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor officially accepted him as his personal disciple. This beautiful Myriad Incarnations Immortal King, Qin Wentian, was naturally very familiar with her. One of the tests was none other than the Myriad Incarnations Immortal King. After that, she accepted Hua Taishu as her disciple. Tianyi seems to be very free. Only a few years have passed and he appeared here together with the Scarce Moon Immortal King. There's basically no one who interfered with him. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the 4 in the air. His gaze paused on Tianyi for a moment. Back then when he took on the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor as his master, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor once said that he would be able to gain freedom once every 1,000 years. He was unable to accept it and hence rejected it, causing him to be questioned and criticized by all sorts of immortal kings. At that time he felt as though he had fallen from the peak and entered a bottomless abyss. He was labeled as someone with a bad character, and the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor retracted his order and rejected him as his disciple. Now from the looks of it, everything seemed like a joke. Did the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor really have to restrict his freedom for 1,000 years just to accept a disciple? In that case, why would Kai Tianyi appear here? Right now, Qin Wentian was even more certain that back then when the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor accepted him as a disciple, it was all because of Qing'er. Dongsheng Heaven Emperor made a promise to Qing'er. Yet he didn't fulfill his promise. Instead, he used such a method to deal with him. That lofty Immortal Emperor played him, an ant-like character in the eyes of Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, like a toy in the palm of his hands. At that time, everyone looked at Qin Wentian with disdain, but who would dare to say anything about Dongsheng Heaven Emperor? No matter what Dongsheng Heaven Emperor did, he would definitely be in the right. And as for him, a mere celestial phenomenon ascendant, what qualifications did he have to reject Dongsheng Heaven Emperor? Although Qin Wentian sighed in his heart, his countenance was as calm as ever. After that, he turned his gaze onto Hua Taishu. Hua Taishu was even more outstanding now. After he took on the myriad incarnations Immortal King as his master, Hua Taishu's aura was even more extraordinary than before. "You're all early." A voice drifted over from the air as a few silhouettes walked over. One of them had a terrifying gaze, exuding a sense of extreme sharpness. Although he didn't exude any aura, he gave off a sense of extreme danger. This man was none other than the Deep Flame Immortal King. Beside and behind the Deep Flame Immortal King, there were many others. These experts all exuded terrifying auras, as though they were immortal kings with authority over life and death. All of them exuded an imposing aura and were the same as the Deep Flame Immortal King. They were war generals under Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. This was a grand occasion of the Dongshengshan Gate once every 100 years, and they came here to show their support. Those immortal kings who stood up didn't sit back down. They clasped their hands to the Deep Flame Immortal King, and the others to show their respect. It was clear with a single glance that among immortal kings, there were also those who were strong and those who were weak. Sometimes the disparity between the strong and the weak could be exceedingly great. For immortal kings, the slightest disparity might require tens of millions of years of bitter cultivation. If you couldn't advance any further, you might never be able to catch up. The disparity between immortal kings was simply too great compared to celestial phenomenon ascendants. The greater the disparity in strength, the greater the disparity in status. The experts who arrived grew stronger and stronger. The hearts of those 160 participants were all filled with shock. This immortal banquet was simply too terrifying, as expected of the grand occasion of the Dongshengshan Gate. Experts from all over the 13 prefectures came to attend, and only those who were at the peak had the qualifications to sit here. The sect leaders and sect leaders of the 13 prefectures could only sit below. "Ha ha, how lively!" A carefree voice drifted over from afar. The crowd turned their gazes over, and those immortal kings who were seated on the platforms couldn't help but to twitch their mouths when they saw the smiling old man. The undying immortal king was here again. They already knew that he would definitely come for the grand occasion of the Dongshengshan Gate. Another familiar face. Qin Wentian silently mused when he saw the undying immortal king. Back then, many of the immortal kings he met were also here. But naturally, they only occupied a small portion of the total. Today, the majority of the people here were all unfamiliar faces. Amidst the flashes of light, a white-robed figure appeared, causing the gazes of many to converge on him. This person exuded an extraordinary aura. He looked extremely young and was clad in white, exuding a transcendent aura. The white-robed immortal king Bai Wuya. He actually came as well. He once killed many immortal kings on the same level as him, daring to challenge immortal emperors, and even killed the descendants of immortal emperors. So he is Bai Wuya? As expected, his demeanor is extraordinary, and what a powerful aura. Bai Wuya's white robes were extremely dazzling. Qin Wentian directly turned his gaze onto him as a hint of excitement flashed in his eyes. However, he quickly concealed it. Naturally, it was impossible for him to reunite with Bai Wuya, but being able to see his senior brother here personally, he was still extremely happy. Is this senior brother Bai? I heard that he was the one who guided senior brother Qin into the sect. Jun Mengqian and Zi Qingxian similarly stared at Bai Wuya, feeling a similar aura. Their hearts were filled with excitement. Their senior brother Bai Wuya was different from them. He was already extremely famous and could be considered a famous character. As for them, they were still at the stage of roaming the immortal realms. They had yet to truly embark on the path to becoming an expert. Humph, however, someone coldly snorted. This person was none other than the Deep Flame Immortal King. He seemed to be at loggerheads with Bai Wuya. To think that this fellow actually came as well. It was rumored that Bai Wuya didn't like crowds, but it seems like the rumors weren't true. In the past, he had already met this proud and aloof fellow. Now that he met him again, how could his mood be affected? However, since Bai Wuya was here to show his support, how could he, the Deep Flame Immortal King, who was a war general under the Dongshang Heaven Emperor, chase him away? His gaze started to survey the 160 participants below. Although he had been here for some time, he didn't pay much attention to them. To a character like him, other than the top 3 geniuses who would eventually become sage children, there weren't many who were worthy of the Deep Flame Immortal King's attention. Hence, although this was a grand event to someone of his status, he was only here to show his support to the emperor. There were geniuses in every generation, and there were many sage children as well. But how many of them could reach his level of achievement? With a single glance, the Deep Flame Immortal King's gaze instantly froze as a fluctuation of aura gushed forth from him. That extremely dangerous gaze of his instantly locked onto a young man as a faintly discernible aura gushed forth from him. What's going on? Many people noticed this scene. The Deep Flame Immortal King's aura was actually fluctuating, and it seemed to be directed at a participant. The Scarce Moon Immortal King, Myriad Incarnations Immortal King, Undying Immortal King and the others all discovered the existence of Qin Wentian, as their eyes flashed with bewilderment. Back then, this fellow had left a deep impression on them. This was a young man who almost became the personal disciple of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. And now he actually appeared here. Interesting. The Deep Flame Immortal King suddenly laughed as he glanced at the token in front of Qin Wentian's chest. Qin Wentian of the Cloud Prefecture, ranked number 27. This young man was truly getting more and more useless. This young man who once dared to be disrespectful to His Majesty, and who didn't have the support of any experts, had now become an ordinary person. Deep Flame, are you acquainted with this person? Beside the Deep Flame Immortal King, a 3-meter-tall giant asked. This giant exuded a violent aura from head to toe. The Idle Cloud Immortal King was also taken aback as he stared fixedly at the Deep Flame Immortal King. Could it be that Qin Wentian was acquainted with the Deep Flame Immortal King? Just an ignorant junior with a bad character. I'm not familiar with him. The Deep Flame Immortal King faintly spoke as he shifted his gaze away. It was as though he really wasn't acquainted with Qin Wentian at all. Since the Deep Flame Immortal King acted this way, the others who recognized Qin Wentian naturally couldn't be bothered to say anything. All of them shifted their gazes away as they chatted happily, as though Qin Wentian didn't exist at all. Humph! A mocking smile appeared on Qin Wentian's face. As expected, how could this lofty immortal king place him in his eyes? He couldn't even be bothered to acknowledge the existence of him, Qin Wentian. The Idle Cloud Immortal King turned his head and cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. There seemed to be some secrets on this young man. Why isn't Dongshang Ting here yet? Where did that brat go to? An immortal king laughed. This immortal king naturally had an extraordinary status, or he wouldn't dare to speak in such a manner. After all, Dongshang Ting was the son of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. He went to fetch Princess Liuli. Princess Liuli came from afar to attend the grand banquet of our Dongshangshan Gate. During these few days, His Highness personally accompanied her. An expert from the Dongshangshan Gate replied. After which, that immortal king who spoke earlier laughed uproariously. Haha, so this is the case. I've long heard that Dongshang Ting is interested in the daughter of the evergreen immortal emperor, Princess Qing. This Princess Liuli and Princess Qing should be acquainted with each other. At that time, when His Highness received the invitation letter from the Princess of the Evergreen Kingdom, he was extremely excited. But now, that legendary Princess Qing must be extremely busy. In addition to the fact that she's an iceberg beauty, why would she personally come to the Dongshengshan Gate? His Highness must be dreaming too much. Another major character from the Dongshengshan Gate laughed as he commented. They didn't even try to conceal the fact that Dongsheng Ting was in love with the princess of the Evergreen Kingdom. It was as though they were purposely making this public to build up momentum for the future. They are here. At this moment, the gazes of the crowd turned in a certain direction only to see two extremely beautiful silhouettes. Dongsheng Ting was riding on an azure dragon, exuding an aura of magnificence, unexcelled in the world. Beside Dongsheng Ting, there was also a young woman who exuded magnificence through the generations. She was riding on an azure luan, resembling a celestial maiden as a layer of holy light enveloped her. The people of the immortal realms all thought that the Evergreen Empire only had a single princess, Princess Qing, but they didn't know that when the Evergreen Immortal Emperor fought for the throne, there was a brother who played an extremely important role in the process. That brother was none other than the White Emperor, the legendary White Emperor. The Chongqing the Great and the White Emperor were the twin emperors of the immortal realms, causing the Evergreen Empire to be as stable as Mount Tai. The White Emperor only has a single daughter, and this daughter of his has heaven-defying talent. It's rumored that she inherited the White Emperor's ability to peer into the constellations in the sky and pry into the secrets of the heavens. The daughter of the White Emperor is the niece of the Chongqing the Great and was conferred the title of Princess Liuli. A supreme expert from the Dongshengshan Gate spoke, his eyes gleaming as he stared at the beautiful silhouette on the azure luan. Princess Qing only appeared later, and there were even more rumors regarding this Princess Liuli. She had the ability to pry into the secrets of the heavens, and since she came to the Dongshengshan Gate, she definitely had something important to do. Chapter 850. Dongsheng Ting rode on an azure dragon while Princess Liuli rode on an azure luan. The two of them exuded magnificence through the generations, resembling an immortal couple. This scene was extremely impactful. The azure dragon Dongsheng Ting is riding on is something his elder brother, Dongsheng Yin, subdued in the azure dragon abyss and gifted to his youngest brother, Dongsheng Ting, as a gift for breaking through to immortal foundation. It's rumored that back then, Dongsheng Yin fought against the azure dragon for 18 days before he managed to subdue it. Everyone sighed in their hearts. The Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor had dominated the immortal realms for countless years, and each of his descendants were all extremely talented. Dongsheng Ting was only the youngest, and he has already stepped into the immortal foundation realm. Many of his elder brothers were already famous characters that could shake an entire region, but they rarely appeared in the Eastern Sage Immortal sect. Most of them treated the four seas as their home, roaming the immortal realms. The gigantic azure dragon exuded an imposing aura. When its eyes swept past, it was as though everything in the world would grovel before it. Yet such a majestic azure dragon actually chose to submit to Dongsheng Ting. Naturally, Princess Liuli's mount, the azure luan, also gave off an intense visual impact. This gigantic demonic beast not only exuded an imposing aura, it also exuded an incomparable sense of beauty, fitting perfectly with Princess Liuli's demeanor. Is that the legendary daughter of the White Emperor? She actually appeared here. In the direction of the Cloud Prefecture, the idle Cloud Immortal King mumbled. The mysterious and powerful White Emperor was rumored to be the brother of the Chongqing the Great. He had unfathomable abilities and was able to pry into fate. It was none other than him who assisted the Chongqing the Great in ascending to the throne, becoming the immortal emperor of the immortal empire. There were even rumors saying that because the White Emperor already knew the fate of the empire, he was willing to help the Chongqing the Great. The daughter of the White Emperor, Princess Liuli, Qin Wentian mumbled. Right now, the people at the banquet were all discussing about that peerlessly beautiful maiden in the air. He naturally could hear them. From these voices, he could even hear the words Chongqing the Great and Princess Qing'er. This daughter of the White Emperor seemed to be a sister of Qing'er, but as for the exact relationship between them, he had no idea. After all, Qing'er had only returned to the immortal realms for a few years. But no matter what, when he saw Princess Liuli, Qin Wentian felt that he was one step closer to Qing'er. Dongsheng Ting and Princess Liuli finally arrived. They headed to the main seat of the banquet and sat down. An azure dragon and azure swan hovered in the air, adding to the grandeur of this immortal banquet. During the immortal banquet, one would be able to view the azure dragon and azure swan. Perhaps only in the Dongshangshan Gate would one be able to view such a magnificent scene. At this moment at the immortal banquet, it was unknown how many people there were. The atmosphere was extremely lively as the host and guests respectively sat down. At the very top, the main seat was occupied by Dongshangting and some of the supreme experts of the Dongshangshan Gate, as well as the Deep Flame Immortal King and a few other powerful immortal kings under the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. The guest seats were Princess Lioli, as well as the Undying Immortal King, Scarce Moon Immortal King and other immortal kings with extremely high statuses. The seating arrangement was very clear based on the difference in strength and status. The space between each person was extremely vast, and there were also beautiful serving ladies around them. Anyone who had an order would be able to immediately step up to serve them. Those at the top of the stairs were all people with high statuses, and the vast majority of them were powerful immortal kings. Below them were the guests from the various major powers of the Eastern Prefecture. Immortal kings sat at the very front, while ordinary immortal foundation characters were all seated behind the leaders of their respective sections. After that were the guests from the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. The immortal kings who led the geniuses here, as well as the 160 core disciples. They were all seated at the very front, on the same level as the powerful immortals. As for the back, there were many immortal foundation characters, as well as the subordinates of the various major powers, as well as the guards and serving ladies of the Dongshangshan Gate. A dragon roar rang out. Dongshangting stood up, and a moment later everyone stood up as well. Dongshangting raised his wine cup to everyone and smiled. Today, I'm here on behalf of my father to host this banquet. Here I, Dongshangting, would like to thank all the seniors present for attending this banquet. For this, let me toast first. As he spoke, Dongshangting drained the wine in his cup in a single gulp. Since he sat at the host's seat, it meant that this banquet would be hosted by him. He represented the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. Evidently, after Dongshangting stepped into the Immortal Foundation realm, the Eastern Sage Emperor was slowly pushing him to the front, allowing him to interact with experts from all over. This was also a type of tempering for one's state of heart. In such a grand occasion where experts were as common as clouds, not everyone would be able to control themselves. The more Dongshangting experienced, the more resolute his heart would be. His confidence would also accumulate, and his aura would also grow stronger and stronger. Everyone drank and offered their congratulations. There was an expert who laughed. Today is a grand occasion of our sect. His Majesty will accept 3 new disciples and we came here to join in the fun. We hope that your Highness wouldn't blame us for interrupting. Since all of you are here, our sect is truly honored. My royal father would definitely feel gratified. Dongshangting stared at the person who spoke and smiled. After which, he raised his cup to the immortals from the 13 prefectures. The grand occasion of the Dongshangshan Gate is held once every 100 years. Although this isn't the only day we accept new disciples, this grand occasion is the one that the Dongshangshan Gate places the most importance on. My royal father would also accept 3 new disciples during this banquet. This banquet is to express the importance our Dongshangshan Gate has for the geniuses of the 13 prefectures, as well as the importance we place on the path of cultivation in the 13 prefectures. I, Dongshangting, would like to toast a toast to the geniuses of the 13 prefectures. Many thanks to your Highness. The immortal kings of the 13 prefectures politely spoke as they drank their wine. The geniuses also drained their cups in a single gulp, their eyes gleaming with an intense light when they stared at Dongshangting. This was a true supreme character, the son of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. How dazzling was he! The moment he appeared, he rode on an azure dragon, exuding a majestic aura. Although they were geniuses from the 13 prefectures, their auras were incomparably inferior when compared to Dongshangting. This time around, they had to grab hold of this opportunity and fight for the favor of the immortal kings of the Dongshangshan Gate, accepting them as their personal disciples. Naturally, it would be best if they could become a sage child character and take the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor as their master. However, it was too difficult to become one of the top 3 rankers. Alright everyone, please be seated. Let's enjoy the immortal banquet together. Dong Shengting smiled as he sat down. The others also sat down as they chatted and laughed, starting to enjoy the immortal banquet. There were many geniuses from the 13 prefectures. Although they were famous in their respective regions in such an occasion, they felt somewhat restrained, as though they couldn't let loose. There were simply too many supreme characters here. Any random one of them was an expert whose name could shake an entire region, someone they could only look up to. Senior brother, senior sister, the wine in this immortal banquet feels so good. There's even a delicacy to it, causing one's entire body to feel extremely comfortable. When I was in my particle world, although there were delicacies from the mountains and seas, I've never enjoyed such a high-grade immortal banquet before. Jun Mengchen started eating and drinking. With regards to these supreme characters, he couldn't be bothered with them. After all, this had nothing to do with him. His personality was carefree and unrestrained. Qin Wentian was still immersed in his thoughts. But upon seeing the appearance of Jun Mengchen, he couldn't help but to laugh. He also started to enjoy the delicacies, and as expected, as soon as the food entered his stomach, a refreshing feeling permeated his entire body. It was as though the energy he expended during the battle earlier was being replenished. His injuries also healed perfectly, and he could feel the energy in his body circulating smoothly. The effect was even better compared to cultivation. Dong Shengting sat on the host seat. He turned his gaze onto Princess Liuli beside him as he smiled. "Princess Liuli, what are you looking at?" At this moment, Princess Liuli was staring at the crowd below, her beautiful eyes gleaming with a profound light. "I'm looking at the strength of the geniuses from the 13 prefectures," Princess Liuli casually replied. Dong Shengting laughed. Later on, the geniuses of the 13 prefectures will undergo a tempering exercise and choose the most outstanding one. At that time, Princess will be able to see the strength of the geniuses with a single glance. It's just that Dong Shengting is presumptuous. Since Princess came all the way here to attend the banquet of my Dongshengshan Gate, there should be a reason, right? Before this, he was extremely excited when he received the invitation card and ordered for the banquet to be prepared. The scale of the banquet had to be far greater than the past. Although the one who came in the end wasn't Qing other than being surprised, Princess Liuli personally came here. He was also extremely happy. Being able to befriend the daughter of the legendary White Emperor was naturally a good thing. However, Dong Shengting also knew that Princess Liuli wouldn't come here for a casual stroll. "You wish to know?" Princess Liuli's beautiful eyes stared at Dong Shengting. The resplendent light in her eyes actually caused Dong Shengting's heart to tremble. However, he was still as calm as ever as he smiled. "If Princess finds it inconvenient to speak, there's no need to reply. I'm just casually asking." "Nothing much, my royal father ordered me to come here for a stroll." Princess Liuli spoke in a low voice as she shifted her gaze away, causing Dong Shengting's expression to stiffen. The White Emperor wanted Princess Liuli to come here for a stroll? What secrets were there behind this? However, since Princess Liuli didn't explain in detail, he naturally wouldn't probe any further. Princess Liuli was in high spirits. Although she was rumored to be able to pry into heavenly secrets, she herself understood that it wasn't so easy to do so. It was only because she was able to form an innate connection with a unique constellation that allowed her to see things that other stellar martial cultivators couldn't. And right now, she was still lacking a little. Her royal father, the White Emperor, had a much higher attainment in this aspect compared to her. The White Emperor told her that in the direction of the Eastern Prefecture, there was a resplendent astral soul in the airspace above the Eastern Prefecture. That astral soul was actually connected to the destiny of the Immortal Empire, and could affect the destiny of the Empire. This was similar to the omen that the evergreen Immortal Emperor had shown back then. At this moment, her royal father only told her about this. He didn't even tell the Chongqing the Great. And right now, the Eastern Prefecture was about to welcome the grand event of the Dongshengshan Gate that occurs once every 100 years. Faintly, there seemed to be a miraculous connection. Hence, she, Princess Liuli, came here to participate in the immortal banquet of the Dongshengshan Gate. Dong Shengting followed the gaze of Princess Liuli and stared at the people below. An instant later, his eyes abruptly flashed with a dazzling light. In fact, even his aura was released as he stared directly at one of the people here. Princess Liuli felt a little puzzled. She stared ahead and very swiftly. Her eyes landed on a young man who was currently laughing and drinking wine. This young man seemed to be in high spirits and was currently chatting merrily with the people beside him. However, at this moment he seemed to have sensed something as he turned his head back. His gaze pierced through space and landed on Dong Shengting. Under the bewildered gaze of Princess Liuli, this mere celestial phenomenon ascendant actually didn't mask the sharpness in his eyes at all. He directly stared at Dong Shengting with no fear or respect in his eyes. What sort of character was Dong Shengting? He actually didn't care about him at all. In addition, Dong Shengting seemed to be taken aback by the appearance of this young man. What was his identity exactly? You actually came here. Dong Shengting suddenly spoke, his words causing the crowd to be startled. All of them halted and turned their gazes over. Who was this young man that could cause Dong Shengting to be so concerned? Chapter 851. Dong Shengting naturally cared. He was different from the Deep Flame Immortal King. In the eyes of the Deep Flame Immortal King, Qin Wentian was just a minor character, not enough to reach the apex. Hence, there was no need for him to waste too much attention on Qin Wentian, even if he came here to participate in the immortal banquet. But Dong Shengting was different. If it was merely because of Qin Wentian's status, he would naturally disdain him. But this person was the young man Princess Qing'er was in love with. Back then, because of this insignificant character from this particle world, even the immortal Emperor Chongqing the Great was alarmed. His father also went to this particle world and used some methods to fool this person. But now, this young man actually didn't know what's good for him, and came here to participate in the immortal banquet of the Dongshengshen Gate. Nobody was a fool. Since Qin Wentian came to the immortal realms, how could he not know that the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was the master of the Dongshengshen Gate? In that case, his reason for coming here was definitely worth pondering. I Qin came from the Cloud Prefecture and experienced the selection process to get here. Why? Does your highness think that I Qin Wentian can't appear here? If this is the case, I Qin will bid my farewell and leave immediately. Qin Wentian stared at Dong Shengting as he slowly spoke. Upon seeing the gaze Dong Shengting was using on him, Qin Wentian could already be certain that the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was intentionally playing him. The casual conversation between the two of them instantly attracted the attention of everyone as they felt bewildered in their hearts. These two people who seemed to have nothing to do with each other. One was a lofty highness, the youngest son of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor Dong Shengting. As for the other, although he was a heaven's chosen, he was only ranked number 27 from the Cloud Prefecture. By right, these two shouldn't have any interactions with each other. And even if they did, given Dong Shengting's status, he shouldn't have reacted in such a manner. Because their statuses weren't equal at all. The countenance of the idle Cloud Immortal King changed. He stared at Qin Wentian as expected. This young man had secrets on him. This genius who once caused a huge commotion in the Driftsnow city. Not only was he acquainted with the Deep Flame Immortal King, even Dong Shengting was sensitive to his presence. How strange. The Scarce Moon Immortal King, Myriad Incarnations Immortal King, Undying Immortal King, and the others were all extremely familiar with Qin Wentian. Back then, he was someone who almost snatched Ke Tianyi's position and became the Dongsheng Heaven Ting, becoming the personal disciple of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. Princess Glaze's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. The matter between Qing'er and the Evergreen Immortal Emperor regarding Qin Wentian was something no one else knew. Princess Glaze had never heard of it before either. Hence, she was only curious now. Naturally, Dong Shengting stared at Qin Wentian. In such a situation, despite his status, it was impossible for him to casually revoke Qin Wentian's qualifications. In addition, what reason could he use to expel Qin Wentian? Many supreme characters and Princess Liuli were watching from the side. If Princess Liuli knew of Qin Wentian and told Princess Qing'er about this in the future, Dong Shengting would appear to be too despicable. I'm only a little surprised. You were born in a particle world and it must have been extremely difficult for you to reach where you are today. The Dongshengshen Gate is truly an opportunity for you. You better grasp it well and enter the Dongshengshen Gate. Work hard in your cultivation and in the future, you might have a chance to chase after the Immortal King realm. Although it's still too far for you now, there's still a chance. Dong Shangting had a solemn expression on his face as he spoke to Qin Wentian. However, his tone was filled with a sense of loftiness. You Qin Wentian are merely someone born in a particle world. It's too difficult for you to grow. The Dongshangshan Gate can give you hope. Given your talent, the Immortal King realm is still too far away. You only have a sliver of hope. These polite words actually contained a sense of arrogance. However, nobody felt that there was anything wrong with this because the person who spoke was Dong Shangting. If Qin Wentian was just an ordinary genius, they would also feel that it was normal. However, he was Qin Wentian. Staring at the disdainful attitude of Dong Shangting, as though he was persuading a junior, Qin Wentian coldly laughed in his heart. His eyes were still staring at Dong Shangting as a faint smile appeared on his face. Who on the path of cultivation isn't difficult? If you depend on the shadows of your ancestors to grow, how can you spread your wings and soar higher? Regardless of particle world or immortal realms, no matter if you are the son of immortal kings or immortal emperors, it's all the same. What's the difference? How many descendants of immortal kings and immortal emperors are useless? And how many ordinary characters have a meteoric rise up to the heavens? Even for those sons of immortal kings and immortal emperors, how many of them could surpass their ancestors who established their own world? Qin Wentian calmly spoke, his voice emotionless. You Dong Shangting are the son of an immortal emperor? But what about your father, the Dongshang Heaven Emperor? Could it be that he didn't depend on himself? How many descendants of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor would be able to surpass him? On the path of cultivation, one still has to depend on oneself. Status and identity are all illusions. The path of cultivation is treacherous and the path to the Immortal King realm is extremely long. However, I Qin will do my best to pursue the Immortal King realm or even higher. Qin Wentian spoke in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. As the sound of his voice faded, the countenances of the crowd grew even more fascinating. Before this, they didn't feel that there was anything wrong with Dong Shangting's words. But now that Qin Wentian retorted, they instantly felt that something was amiss. The two of them seemed to be in a battle of words. So it turned out that Dong Shangting's words contained a hidden meaning. It's just that this person who came here to temper himself actually dared to oppose Dong Shangting? This was truly shocking. Splendid words. Dong Shangting's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at Qin Wentian. The path of cultivation is treacherous. Regardless if one is the descendant of an immortal king or an ordinary person, they all have to depend on themselves. It's just that those born of nobility would have some innate advantages. Such advantages are innate, talent and resources. For ordinary people, they have to put in more effort. For example, right now, the countless geniuses of the 13 prefectures are all fighting each other, all for the sake of entering the Dongshangshan Gate. Your Highness is right. Under the same circumstances, those born of an ordinary background would have to put in more effort. But for those who already have extraordinary talent and are willing to put in more effort, they would have an easier time walking down the path of cultivation. I Deep Flame have personally experienced this point. How difficult is it for me to become an immortal king? Look at your Highness, your Highness, your Highness, your Second Highness and the others. They are so young yet they have already broken through to the Immortal King realm. The Deep Flame Immortal King sighed. He rolled his eyes as his immeasurably deep eyes swept over to Qin Wentian as he coldly spoke. The most terrifying thing on the path of cultivation is those who don't know the immensity of the heavens and earth, always thinking that just by putting in more effort, they would be able to reach the peak. How many geniuses have there been on the path of cultivation who didn't put in more effort? How many of them have become immortal kings or even ascended to immortal emperors? If you say them, they might still be able to retort. But how can Senior say that I won't be able to do it? How ridiculous. His words were extremely clear. The gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian. Facing the domineering words of the Deep Flame Immortal King, what else could he say? Bai Wuya also stared at Qin Wentian. He didn't speak up for him. Today, he came here only to be a spectator. Hee. Qin Wentian laughed. The first sentence of the Deep Flame Immortal King made it so that he had no way to retort. If he retorted, it would mean that the Deep Flame Immortal King was right. Senior is an Immortal King character. Since you want to speak like this, what else can I say? I can only sigh. Senior Deep Flame Immortal King, your judgment isn't that good. According to Senior Black Peak, as your disciple, he has status, and resources. Naturally, he would have an advantage compared to us. And in the first round of the Dongshengshan Gate examination, the performance of Senior Deep Flame Immortal King's disciple, Black Peak, didn't bring any face to the Immortal King. Qin Wentian stared at the Deep Flame Immortal King as he impolitely mocked. Since the Deep Flame Immortal King wanted to humiliate him, he would use his own words to ruthlessly slap his face back. So it turns out that Black Peak is Senior's disciple. During the first round of the Dongshengshan Gate examination, Black Peak led a group of experts to surround us and kill us one by one. At that time, Senior Brother Qin trampled Black Peak beneath his feet and spared his life. So it turns out that Black Peak is also a disciple of an immortal king? How shocking! Jun Mingchen was long unhappy. Upon seeing the Deep Flame Immortal King and Dongsheng Ting humiliating Qin Wentian, how could he not retaliate properly? As the sound of his voice faded, Black Peak, who was not far away from him, instantly turned ashen. His gaze that could kill people stared fixedly at Qin Wentian and Jun Mingchen, as though he was about to explode forth. The Deep Flame Immortal King narrowed his eyes as he coldly glanced at Black Peak. Upon seeing the expression on Black Peak's face, his countenance turned even colder. Maybe Senior can't be blamed for this. Black Peak's talent might be too trash. Senior only has a problem with his judgment. Jun Mingchen continued laughing. Everyone stared at this fellow speechlessly. These few people actually dared to smack the Deep Flame Immortal King's face in public, and didn't know when to stop. How audacious of them. Maybe the Deep Flame Immortal King didn't have the time to discipline Black Peak, and didn't give him any cultivation resources. Or maybe Black Peak himself was too lazy and didn't put in any effort. Zi Qingxian spoke in a serious tone. However, her words were undoubtedly a smack to the face of the Deep Flame Immortal King. In such a situation, the countenance of the Deep Flame Immortal King couldn't help but turn black. Your Highness, isn't the purpose of today's banquet to select the 3 sage child characters? This old man still wants to see how glorious these geniuses are. When shall we begin? At this moment, a voice broke the silence. It was none other than the good old undying Immortal King. That's right, Your Highness. We are all impatient. Immediately, someone chimed in, as the gazes of everyone turned to Dongsheng Ting. The cold eyes of the Deep Flame Immortal King slowly shifted away from Qin Wentian and the others, but he still remembered the names of these 3. The rules for the selection are different for every 100 years. But the top 3 would definitely be the most outstanding ones. I wish to seek the opinions of everyone. What suggestions do you have? Dongsheng Ting stared at the crowd. These 160 participants all had different cultivation bases, ranging from the 1st level to the 9th level of celestial phenomenon. Naturally, the rules wouldn't be so simple. If one wishes to become a sage child, they would naturally have to pass through many trials. This selection can't be too simple. An expert spoke. Everyone was very clear about this point. The geniuses below all listened seriously. No matter how powerful or distinguished these people were, the main characters of this immortal banquet were none other than them. And now they were finally going to appear on stage.